Chapter 3005. There were some words that would make people feel moved when they came from her mouth. The things that Luo Qingquan thought of, Su Qinzhou naturally thought of them, but he didn't care. But when someone was thinking about you, if you didn't personally experience it, you wouldn't be able to feel it. Give me a bit of time. Su Qinzhou looked at her and said, I will definitely let the entire world know about Mrs. Su. When Luo Qingquan held the red book, her heart felt like it was a lifetime ago. It seemed like they hadn't known each other for a long time and hadn't spent much time together. But she and Su Qinzhou had made a crazy decision. They had become the most important people in each other's lives in the eyes of the law. House key, car key, bank card. After coming out of the bureau, he placed the three things in her hand and said, I'll give them to you first. If you want to come, you can come. Su Qinzhou naturally knew that she had made this decision, but she still needed time to tell her parents. Although their statuses were different, they were essentially the same. Actually, the most important reason was that she was still in school. Getting married while still in school wasn't a good thing. All right, Luo Qingquan put the three things in her pocket and said, I will definitely be a qualified Mrs. Su in a hidden marriage. If you don't want to, I'll go to your house tomorrow to visit Uncle and Auntie. Su Qinzhou gently rubbed her head and said, If you want, I'll wait until you graduate, where you can change your mind ahead of time and not be a hidden wife. All right, Luo Qingquan pursed her lips and said, I still want to be a hidden wife for now. It wasn't completely because of Su Qinzhou, but also because of the previous owner. There were some things that needed to be done. Although she wasn't sure if she could succeed, she couldn't give up without trying. I'll take care of everything as soon as possible. Su Qinzhou looked at her white as snow face and said, It'll be done soon. After getting married, her days didn't change much. She still went back and forth between school and home. She never used Su Qinzhou's car to buy things. Because she had the system and didn't lack money. As for school, there were quite a few people who wanted her to fall into the abyss. Qian Xiuxiu was the first, and Gu Fangfang followed behind her. In her eyes, there were simply two little white flowers that were acting like demons. Luo Qingquan knew that they were gossiping behind her back because Yin Sisi was bullied. His school bag was thrown into the pond. When she arrived, there were already many people around. Qian Xiuxiu and Gu Fangfang were grinning from ear to ear when they saw Yin Sisi in such a sorry state. Of all the people you could be friends with, you just had to be friends with that Luo Qingquan. That's right. Even if I can't deal with her, I can still deal with you. No. Sister Xiuxiu, you can't say that. It's not that we can't deal with Luo Qingquan. We just find it troublesome and boring to deal with her. Isn't it? Her school bag should be thrown away, but I haven't found a chance yet. Words of taunting entered her ears, and Luo Qingquan squeezed through the crowd. However, she didn't walk in Yin Sisi's direction. Instead, she walked in Qian Xiuxiu's direction. The afternoon sun was just right. Although there was some rustling sound around her, she was sure that everything would become calm in the next second. Pa! She slapped Qian Xiuxiu's face with a thunderous sound. She didn't hesitate to slap her. She used a lot of strength. She didn't even know if she used any abilities. Chapter 3006. Everyone was stunned and looked at Luo Qingquan in disbelief. You, how dare you hit me? Qian Xiuxiu stomped her feet and said, What right do you have to hit me? There were a few boys who liked Qian Xiuxiu in the crowd who quickly came out and protected her. Luo Qingquan, don't go too far. You're clear on what kind of status you have. We don't hit women, but don't blame us for being impolite. Qian Xiuxiu was indeed pretty, and there were people who liked her. But her eyes were on the top of her head. She didn't like anyone who wasn't a school hunk. Now that there was an opportunity to court her, they naturally jumped at it. Moreover, they liked to pretend to be big brothers to bully others. Luo Qingquan's face was indifferent. She smiled faintly and said, I like it when you guys are rude. Luo Qingquan wasn't afraid of fighting, but she was afraid that someone would be scared in the middle of a fight. Perhaps it was because her gaze was too sharp. The boys looked at each other and seemed a little scared. After all, there were so many people watching. If they beat a little girl, it would be too embarrassing. CK. I'm going to hit you today. Ayaya. The leader of the boys stretched out his leg and was about to kick her. Little did he know that Luo Qingchen dodged to the side and grabbed his wrist tightly. "What did you say you were going to hit me for?" Luo Qingchen pursed her lips and looked at him provocatively. "Ouch, ouch, ouch. Gentler, gentler." The boy begged for mercy with a ferocious face. I was wrong. Please don't pinch me." Luo Qingchen pushed him lightly with her right hand and looked at the crowd coldly. "If you want to bully me, I advise you to find someone with better skills. Otherwise, one or two of you won't be enough for me to beat." You. Qian Xiuxiu's voice was trembling, and her eyes were filled with fear. The current Luo Qingchen was completely different from the Luo Qingchen she knew in high school. Her appearance and identity hadn't changed, but her personality had changed. Not only was she not the girl who had a crush on Yi Beifeng, she didn't even care about Yi Beifeng's goodwill. But that was to be expected. After all, Su Qinzhou had given her the heart of the ocean. Naturally, she would be proud. "Qian Xiuxiu, I'll say these words today." Luo Qingchen's eyebrows trembled slightly. She looked up at her and said, "If people don't offend me, I won't offend them. Don't even think about bullying the people around me. Otherwise, there will be consequences." After saying this, she turned around and walked towards Yin Cici. Fortunately, the school bag had been fished out, but the textbooks inside were wet. Yin Shi seemed to have been wronged and was very upset. Tears streamed down his face. Luo Qingchen gently frowned. While holding her school bag, she helped her up and said, "I'll send you back." At the same time, in Su Qinzhou's office, "They dared to bully her?" Su Qinzhou said with a cold face. They really don't want to stay in this circle anymore." "Young Master Su, what I just said was that Madam bullied others." Wang thought that there was no problem with his explanation. Why did Su Qinzhou say that Luo Qingchen was bullied? Chapter 3007. Madam probably thinks that this is a small matter. Moreover, the campus film and television goddess and campus film and television male god are about to begin. Wang raised his eyebrows and said, "I heard that this Qian Xiuxiu made a lot of preparations to take the title of goddess. Last year, the person who took the title was Zhao Xuema from Sida. Now, she is already a popular young female star." Su Qinzhou sipped his coffee and said, "She wants the title. What can I do if I don't give it to her?" He didn't know why, but as a man with status, he shouldn't bicker with little girls. But knowing that she always liked to bully Luo Qingchen, he couldn't help but want to bully her. It turns out that when a man is in love, he will become narrow-minded and narrow-minded. "Io, my young master, can't you be a bit more tactful?" Wang helplessly laughed. The campus film and television goddess is chosen every year by the major film companies and directors. The person chosen every year is almost always the hottest new movie star of the year. So what? Su Qinzhou coldly laughed and said, "That whatever show can't pass me. Young master, don't worry. It's the work that speaks." Wang handed over the documents he had prepared a long time ago to Su Qinzhou and said, "This is the name list and the final 2 scripts from the Academy of Film and Television Goddess. Everyone chooses their own script and then draws lots to decide their final role." Su Qinzhou took it and flipped it open. He was slightly stunned. Luo Qingchen's name was on it. Why did she want to be chosen as the campus film and television goddess? Did she want to enter the entertainment circle? "Young master." Wang saw that he was in a daze and tried to explain. "Actually, this isn't strange. If Madam doesn't want to enter the entertainment circle, then why did she apply for the Academy of Film and Television Goddess? Since she doesn't want to tell me, that means she doesn't want me to know for now." Su Qinzhou's eyebrows slightly moved and said, "You continue to pay attention to what happens to her at school. Those boys who bully her don't appear in front of her again." Academy of Film and Television Physical Education class. Luo Qingchen held the 2 scripts in her hands and looked over them again and again. There was clearly a big difference between the 2 scripts. One was the most popular fantasy genre at the moment, while the other was a military genre. Because she was the last to receive the script, the rest of the people chose the fantasy theme. No one chose the military theme. "Qingchen, did I implicate you because they bullied me that day?" Yin Cici looked at the script in her hand and said, Now, only you and I have no choice in the final performance. Luo Qingshun put down the script, looked at Yin Cece seriously, and asked, "Do you want to play a Xinxia theme?" "No." Yin Cece replied instantly, "They threw my bag into the water. Who wants to act with them?" "Actually, you shouldn't be the one dragging me down. I should be the one dragging you down." Luo Qingshun's brain flashed. Since they all think Xinxia is good, then let's play this military theme. But Yin Cece pursed his lips and said, "Will we lose to them in terms of numbers? Where there are many people, there will be many disputes." Luo Qingshun looked at him and said, "Do you trust me? You're my best friend." "Of course I trust you." Yin Cece lowered his head a bit guiltily and said, "I'm stupid and often say the wrong things. Only you treat me as a friend." It was probably at this moment that Luo Qingshun was certain that Yin Cece didn't have any bad intentions. Chapter 3008. In the afternoon, in a private room in the tea house. Laughter came from the room. There were both men and women. It was very lively. "Ha ha." Qin Xiuxiu laughed as she ate her cake. A total of 20 people entered the final selection for Campus Film and Television Goddess and Campus Film and Television Male God. 18 of them chose the Xinxia script. "I'm so happy." Qin Xiuxiu used so many connections. Naturally, the first person she chose was the female lead, Huang Xian'er. Out of the 18 people, 16 were students of the Academy of Film. Many of them were unhappy. After all, it was supposed to be a lottery. However, they had no choice. Qin Xiuxiu's family was quite powerful. They didn't want to offend her for a script. Moreover, the female lead couldn't be chosen as the campus goddess. Last year's campus goddess wasn't the female lead. In the end, it was still based on ability. "Xiuxiu, this time you'll definitely shine." Gu Fangfang looked at Qin Xiuxiu with a flattering expression. "We're all green leaves. We're just there to set off a red flower like you." Yi Beifeng was also sitting at the side. He was the male lead of this Xinxia script. He didn't position himself as the male lead like Qin Xiuxiu. Instead, it was Qin Xiuxiu who insisted that he be the male lead. After all, the female lead and the male lead had a relationship. Ever since the incident on the cruise ship, Qin Xiuxiu could clearly feel that Yi Beifeng's heart was floating. It was all on Luo Qingshun. She didn't know why. Luo Qingshun's attitude towards Yi Beifeng was getting worse and worse, but Yi Beifeng kept getting closer to her. Yi Beifeng's actions made Qin Xiuxiu very unhappy. Although she was no longer Yi Beifeng's girlfriend, in her heart, Yi Beifeng used to truly love her. If she could improve their relationship through this performance, maybe Yi Beifeng would change his mind. "Beifeng, there's not much time. Let's start rehearsing tomorrow." Qin Xiuxiu walked to his side and pulled on his sleeve. "There aren't many boys in the nominations this time. Beifeng, you're so outstanding. You'll definitely win." Yi Beifeng sneered twice and said, "So you took care of yourself and gave yourself a good script and let her play the remaining one alone?" When Qin Xiuxiu heard this, she rolled her eyes unwillingly. She pouted and said, "Who are you talking about? It can't be Luo Qingshun, right? You already know the answer." "Eh." Qin Xiuxiu angrily put her hands on her hips and said, "She's not alone. She has her best friend with her. Furthermore, did I force you to not act in another script? Do any of you want to do it?" Qin Xiuxiu's voice was very sharp. The men and women in the private room all lowered their heads. Although they knew about the grudges between them, they did not want to offend Qin Xiuxiu since she was in charge of the casting of the script. This Xinxia script was called War of the Demons. Other than Qin Xiuxiu, who played the female lead, Huang Xian'er, there were a few other important characters. Now that they had already chosen the theme of the script, they naturally could not offend Qin Xiuxiu. After all, in the film industry, everyone knew that Xinxia was popular. The military usually acted in TV dramas about the older generation fighting against the Japanese. The scripts were also very old-fashioned. Chapter 3009. The popularity of Xinxia and military themes was like heaven and earth in the current film industry. In short, she didn't want Luo Qingshun to win. Absolutely not. Although she couldn't stop her from entering the final selection, she was someone with status. Luo Qingshun couldn't make a comeback in the final selection. Look, no one wants to go. Qian Xiuxiu pouted and said, Bei Feng, since everyone wants to go, how can you blame me? And the next second, Qian Xiuxiu muttered, Bei Feng, you don't want to go either. Yi Bei Feng found Qian Xiuxiu's previous words ridiculous. But this sentence made him angry. The reason for his anger was that Qian Xiuxiu had hit the nail on the head. He was indeed feeling indignant for Luo Qingshun. He even knew that every script needed a male lead. Luo Qingshun needed his help. If he volunteered to be the male lead in the military script, she would be very touched. But even if Yi Bei Feng was struggling, he wouldn't change his mind. Now, thanks to Qian Xiuxiu, he was the male lead in War of Gods and Devils. As long as he performed well, he would have a chance to be popular if he was selected as the male lead. He couldn't let go of such a good opportunity. So, when Qian Xiuxiu hit the nail on the head, he was extremely anxious. Okay, don't be angry. Qian Xiuxiu grabbed Yi Bei Feng's wrist and shook it gently. I know I was wrong in the past. This time, let's perform well and start over. I'm impartial. Since I'm the male lead, I'll cooperate with the rehearsal. Let me know when you've confirmed the time. Yi Bei Feng retracted his hand and looked at Qian Xiuxiu coldly. As for the other things, forget it. Then, he picked up the script and left the private room. The atmosphere in the private room froze and became extremely awkward. Qian Xiuxiu stood there, her heart filled with hatred. She hated Luo Qingshun. If it weren't for Luo Qingshun's sudden change in temperament, Yi Bei Feng wouldn't have paid attention to her. Then she wouldn't have lost a man who had always been accommodating to her. No matter how she thought about it, it was all Luo Qingshun's fault. When Gu Fangfang saw that no one was speaking, she hurriedly went forward and patted Qian Xiuxiu's back. It's okay. This time, we will definitely shine in the performance and make that military soldier feel ashamed. Qian Xiuxiu coldly snorted and said, Yes. A military script filled with a rural atmosphere wants to stand out. Luo Qingshun must be joking. Yes, she's really funny. Gu Fangfang smiled and said, We'll just wait to see her make a fool of herself. At the same time, in the coffee shop, Luo Qingshun and Yin Cece were eating snacks and studying the script. Since there were only two of them, it was a little difficult to a certain extent. Qingshun, you'll be the female lead, Cui Hua. Yin Cece pursed his lips and said, I'll be Cui Hua's good friend, Li Yun. I feel that it's a little too white to play a space role. Luo Qingshun pursed her lips and said, It's missing something. No, it's not. We'll just act as a military wife. Yin Cece thought about it and said, It won't be too difficult. Cece, yes. Chapter 3010. Wei, Company Commander Wei Zhonghua. Yin Cece looked at her with some confusion and said, But this is a male character. He knew that Luo Qingshun's acting skills were good, but for a script with only two people to dress as a man and challenge a male character, it really wasn't an easy matter. Actually, I don't think that military-themed movies will lose to Xinxia-themed movies. Luo Qingshun earnestly marked the script while saying, I want to act out a different feeling. Yin Cece blinked and said, Okay. In any case, our chances of winning are low right now, so we'll do whatever we want. When she returned home at night, Luo Qingshun began to earnestly study the script. This was a story about a company commander named Wei Zhonghua. For his country, he didn't hesitate to fight for 20 years and never returned home. On the battlefield, every time news came from home, it was always about a funeral. His father, his mother, his brother, his wife, and finally his son. But no matter which family it was, he didn't even see them for the last time. His life was lonely and bitter. His life was obsessed. His wife waited bitterly, but in the end, she was buried deep in the earth and didn't see her husband for the last time. For what? Everything was for the country. First there was the country, then there was home. DDD, the phone rang twice. Luo Qingshun glanced at it. It was a text from Su Qinzhou. Open the door. Su Qinzhou. Luo Qingshun froze for a moment and stretched her head out to look outside the window. Downstairs was Su Qinzhou's usual Maserati. "Coming right away. Luo Qingchun," she replied to the text. Then she put on her clothes and went downstairs. "It's so late. Do you miss me?" "Yeah." Luo Qingchun originally had a teasing tone, but she didn't know that Su Qinzhou didn't hesitate to admit it. He helped her fasten her seatbelt and said, "I'll take you to see two people." "Two people?" Luo Qingchun blinked. She was a bit puzzled. It was so late. According to Su Qinzhou's personality, he wouldn't take her to see ordinary friends. Could it be that they were very important friends? The Maserati drove forward and finally stopped in front of a villa. Luo Qingchun instantly felt that something was wrong. She immediately turned her head to look at Su Qinzhou and said, You want to take me home, right?" "Yes." Su Qinzhou nodded his head and said, "It's about time we meet them. His father and his stepmother, a stepmother in her 20s who looked even younger than himself." "But what I'm wearing," Luo Qingchun said helplessly. "You should tell me that I'm wearing something more formal." The original owner's identity wasn't too good. Su Qinzhou's father, Su Yuan, had a very high position in the business circle. She originally wanted to find a better opportunity to see him, but she didn't expect Su Qinzhou to bring her here today. "It's fine." Su Qinzhou shook his head and said, "He has no right to say anything about the person I choose." Su Qinzhou held her hand. The warmth from his palm made her feel at ease. Just as they entered the door, several maids that were hired by the family walked up and respectfully said, "Hello, young master. Hello, young miss. Call her young madam." Su Qinzhou looked at them and said, "In the future, she will be the Su family's young madam." "Qinzhou, you're back." A sweet voice sounded. A young girl with a mushroom hairstyle and a white sweater suddenly appeared in front of them. Su Qinzhou knit his brows and immediately reached out his hand to protect Luo Qingchun. Chapter 30:11. Cuckoo. Two light coughs sounded. Luo Qingchun's gaze fell on Su Yuan. He wore a black Taoist robe, giving people a feeling of nobility. He wore a pair of golden-framed glasses, noble and elegant. Even if he didn't speak, Luo Qingchun could feel the other person's aura. "How can you talk to your little mom like that?" Su Yuan walked down the stairs and said, "This is the first time you brought a girl back. It's not as simple as an assistant or a secretary. My wife is Luo Qingchun." Su Qinzhou's voice was very cold. His deep eyes were covered with a layer of light as he looked at Su Yuan and said, "You don't need to object or be shocked. I just came to give you a heads up." In that instant, Su Yuan's eyes widened as he looked at him and said, "What did you say?" The atmosphere in the living room became especially stiff. Luo Qingchun wanted to say something to ease the atmosphere, but she found that she didn't have the qualifications to speak. "I think I said it very clearly." Su Qinzhou raised his eyebrows and said, "If you didn't hear it clearly, then let little mom pass it on to you." Luo Qingchun never thought that Su Qinzhou and his father's relationship was like this. This kind of tense and awkward atmosphere made it hard for her to breathe. "I don't agree." Su Yuan slapped the table and said, "Your marriage isn't something you can decide on your own." MMP. Hearing this, Luo Qingchun couldn't help but roar in her heart. This Su Yuan really is a dictator. He married such a young and beautiful girl, yet he doesn't let his son pursue his love. "Hung!" Su Qinzhou coldly snorted and said, "Sorry, we have a license." "What? You guys already got a license." Yi Duoyun, standing on a side, smiled and said, "I think Qinzhou's eyes are very good. What a pretty girl." "Duoyun." Su Yuan creased his eyebrows and said, "What kind of person is he? How can he marry whoever he wants?" In the next second, Su Qinzhou's gaze became even colder. He almost instantly replied to Su Yuan, "I'll return those words to you. The girl I married is 5 years younger than me, not 25 years old." "You, Qinzhou, don't say any more." Yi Duoyun hurriedly stopped the father and son. She smiled and said, "Now that Qinzhou has already married Miss Luo, it's useless for you to stop him." "Su Qinzhou, you didn't even come back to tell me about your marriage, right? Didn't I come back to tell you? You call this telling?" Su Yuan was so angry that his entire face flushed red as he said, "You're clearly acting first and reporting later. If I don't act first and report later, well, I have to marry whoever you want me to." Su Chenzhou coldly laughed and shook his head. In my heart, you no longer have that kind of weight. Chenzhou. When Luo Qingchen heard this, she could not help but frown. Don't talk like that. In fact, after experiencing so many worlds, Luo Qingchen rarely encountered any problems between mother-in-law and daughter-in-law. Now that she had arrived, she was faced with the problem of a daughter-in-law. She really couldn't think of a way to resolve it at the moment. Anyways, I'll stop here. Su Chenzhou held Luo Qingchen's hand as he turned around and said, I'm just informing you. Chapter 30:12. Silence, silence, silence. After a while, Su Chenzhou laughed coldly and said, I don't care. Glory, wealth, status, and status. He naturally couldn't compare to his father, Su Yuan, but everything he had right now was enough to protect her for a lifetime. You. Su Yuan was practically speechless from Su Chenzhou's words. Yi Duoyun, who was standing at the side, quickly went up and patted Su Yuan's back. Don't be angry, don't be angry. Chenzhou being able to bring his wife back for you to see proves that he also wants your approval. Yi Duoyun naturally knew that Su Chenzhou didn't like her, but it wasn't surprising. Su Yuan was older than her by an entire 25 years. Su Chenzhou naturally thought that she was together with Su Yuan for money. Want my approval? Su Yuan angrily said. If he cared about me, his father, then he wouldn't have married this kind of shady person. Laughable. Su Chenzhou didn't get angry. Instead, he replied with an indifferent face. I'm afraid that this sentence is more suitable for you. Su Yuan angrily roared. Su Chenzhou, say that again. All right, stop fighting. Luo Qingchen really couldn't stand the father and son talking here and there. It was as if they wanted to say all the hurtful words. They clearly wanted the other party's approval. So why did they have to speak so harshly? Luo Qingchen could clearly feel that after she finished speaking, the entire living room instantly became quiet. It was probably because no one thought that she would suddenly speak, and no one thought that she would say these words. Even Su Chenzhou narrowed his eyes as he looked at her with confusion. On the contrary, Luo Qingchen's face was calm. Other than feeling a bit awkward at the beginning, she was even less nervous after she explained the matter. Uncle, you are an elder in the family. How can you say such harsh words when you don't understand a person? Luo Qingchen looked at the Buddha image in the living room and said, this isn't appropriate in front of the gods. Although she had only been in Su Yuan's villa for a short few minutes, she had gathered quite a bit of information. From Su Yuan's clothes, it could be seen that he was very respectful towards Buddha and was very respectful towards Buddha. It didn't make sense for such a man to marry someone who was 25 years younger than him. After all, with his status, there should be many women who wanted to marry him. There were even some who were younger and prettier than Yi Duoyun. With his high status in the business circle, he should be immune to women who wanted to get close to him. Even if Yi Duoyun wanted to seduce him, she wouldn't be so successful. Perhaps there were other reasons. Luo Qingchen's words made Su Yuan speechless. She didn't mean to diss him. She just felt that since they were already here, they had already experienced the most awkward situation. In that case, what they should do next was not to solve the problem, but to argue and argue. Sorry. Su Chenzhou gently rubbed her head and said, I shouldn't have brought you here. In the future, we won't come here again. He had lost his mother and only had his father. Even though he had a deep grudge against Su Yuan in his heart, he still wanted to tell her about marriage. Unexpectedly, the result was still the same. He shouldn't have brought her here and let her suffer such harsh words. At this moment, he looked at her calm eyes and felt his heart ache. Chapter 30:13. Luo Qingchen pursed her lips and softly shook her head as she said, Actually, this madam is right. You brought me here to get recognition. It's impossible for me to recognize you. Master Su. Luo Qingchen's brows slightly twitched as she cut him off. In front of Buddha, don't be so sure of your words. Su Yuan knit his brows as he looked at her and said, What do you want to say? Luo Qingchen's lips curled into a smile as she said, How about we talk alone? Qingchen. Su Chenzhou naturally felt it was very strange. Luo Qingchen's reaction was too calm. He was very guilty in his heart. Her father talking to her like this. She should be very disappointed. but he never thought that she would be much calmer than he imagined. "It's fine." Luo Qingchen shook her head and said, "Trust me." Hee. Su Yuan gave a cold snort and said, "That's good. Come to the study with me. Our family's status and Qinzhou's status as a noble young master, you should know about it." Qingchen, Su Qinzhou still knit his brows. He didn't know what Luo Qingchen wanted to say, but he knew what his father wanted to say. It was nothing more than how high the Su family status was and how noble their status was. People with their status, the wives they married, had to be of equal status and were perfectly justified. He didn't need to personally hear it to be able to imagine it. "Relax." Luo Qingchen softly patted the back of Su Qinzhou's hand before following Su Yuan upstairs to the study. Standing at the door of the study, Luo Qingchen silently said something in her heart. "System, I want all the information on that madam. Remember to ask for her past and present lives." "Host, you're so smart. You praising me like this means that my guess isn't too far from the truth." Ding! 500 exchange points has been taken. Successfully exchanged for information on Yi Duiyun's past and present lives. Precious exchange points, but if it could untie the knot in the hearts of Su Qinzhou and Su Yuan, it was worth it. It was probably because the memories of Yi Duoyun had entered her brain that made her head hurt a bit. She stopped at the door of the study. "What? You were so calm before, but now you're afraid?" Su Yuan's sharp eyes looked at Luo Qingchen as he said, "Could it all be an act? Why would I act in front of an important person like you?" Luo Qingchen's brows slightly trembled as she walked into the study. Su Yan really liked to worship Buddha. There were many things from the Buddha hall in the study. The air was filled with the faint scent of sandalwood, as if he was in a temple. There are many things here that have been blessed by the monks. He's Luo Qingchen and Buddhas and Buddha and Buddha. To sheath. So what? Su Yuan pushed up his golden-rimmed glasses and said, "But it was Qinzhou who told you." "Master Su," Luo Qingchen said with a faint smile, "do you think Qinzhou will mention Madam's name to me?" Su Yuan's dark eyes were covered in a layer of darkness as he looked at her and said, "What do you want to say?" He didn't know why, but when Su Yuan looked at Luo Qingchen's eyes, he felt a special kind of panic. Chapter 30:14. In fact, the reason why Luo Qingchen could think of this was because she learned about Su Yuan and his deceased wife during her investigation. It was said that before the Su family reached its current status, Su Yuan had already married Su Qinzhou's mother, Fang Yin. It was said that no matter if they were in good times or bad, they loved each other and had never been separated, until their careers gradually improved. Until they had Su Qinzhou, they were still deeply in love and stuck together like glue. They were deeply in love with each other, but less than a year after Fang Yin's death, Su Yuan married his current wife, Yi Duoyun. In addition, after Fang Yin's death, Su Yuan began to be obsessed with worshipping Buddha. In that year alone, he went to no less than 100 temples all over the country. The specific reason was unknown. Luo Qingchen was also half suspicious, so she used the exchange points to see about Yi Duiyun's past and present life. He. Su Yuan gave several cold laughs before looking at Luo Qingchen. "You dare speak nonsense in front of the Buddha. You really don't respect the gods." "I naturally respect the gods." Luo Qingchen took a deep breath and said, "But do you really not have any doubts in your heart?" "What doubts do I have?" Su Yuan denied again. "I don't know what you were talking about. The gods give guidance to the world. They will certainly not let the world tell others." In the next second, Luo Qingchen's eyes changed, and the corner of her mouth outlined a very faint smile. "The first person you meet after walking out of Huayan Temple is Mrs. Fang's present life. You should know this sentence, right?" Pung! Su Yuan's right hand slipped, and the blue and white porcelain teacup in his hand fell to the ground instantly. His complexion changed very quickly. Almost in an instant, his face was pale, and even his lips did not have a trace of blood. After a long time, he wanted to say something, but found that all the words were stuck in his throat, and he could not say a word for a long time. Luo Qingchen looked at Su Yuan's complexion and knew that her private chat was half successful. But when you came out, you met two people. Luo Qingshun raised her eyebrows slightly and said, "How can you be so sure that Miss Yi Duoyun is Mrs. Fong?" You. Cough, 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 cough. Su Yuan clutched his chest and looked at her breathlessly and said, "How do you know? How do you know?" In his life, he had never thought that someone would say such words in front of him. She was like a god, and also like a demon. "I can give you an answer." Su Yuan's right eyes half closed, half squinted his eyes half squinted, and said, "The most important thing is whether Master wants this answer or not." Luo Qingshun didn't lie to him. She could use hypnosis to make him see what she saw. Was that? She did not say that she did not say those harsh words. Was Luo? Was that? Luo Qingshun, he took a deep breath, squinted his eyes, and looked at Luo Qingtian, saying, "You are just a little girl. How do you know all these? Tell me honestly." Humph. Luo Qingshun's lips curled into a faint smile, and she snorted softly, saying, "Since Master Su does not want to know, then there is no need for us to continue this private chat." Sometimes, taking a step back in order to advance was a very good idea, because Luo Qingshun was very clear that Su Yuan was already shocked from his eyes. Chapter 30:15. Wait. Su Yuan saw that she was about to turn and leave. He panicked and immediately said, "You can really give me an answer?" "Of course." Luo Qingshun slowly turned around and put her hands in her pockets. "I can not only give you an answer of your dreams, I can also let you see the answer yourself." "Girl." Su Yuan's voice trembled slightly. He looked at her seriously and said, "What you said is really inconceivable. There is nothing inconceivable in your world. God exists." Luo Qingshun's brows trembled slightly. Some people believe it, some don't. Isn't Master Su convinced? "I do believe because I saw it with my own eyes." "But you..." Su Yuan looked at her with a frown and said, "How did you know about Huayan Temple? How did you know that when I came out, I met two people? Maybe God and I are good friends." Luo Qingshun showed a faint smile. "How about it? Master Su wants to know the answer." "I naturally want to know." Su Yuan frowned and said, "But from your tone, it seems you don't want to tell me unconditionally." TSK. Luo Qingshun heard this and took her hands out of her pockets. She clapped lightly and said, "A businessman is indeed a businessman. You saw through it with one glance. Of course, I won't tell you unconditionally." "What do you want?" Su Yuan was very resistant to Luo Qingshun's words at first. After all, he always thought that the only person in the world who knew this secret was him. But he was still anxious because when he walked out of Huayan Temple, he did see two women at the same time. They walked up the stairs from the left and right. At that time, he chose one of them based on his intuition. These years, this was like a knot in his heart. This was a dead knot because no one would tell him the answer. He didn't think he was wrong, but he couldn't completely let it go. "Apologize. I want Master Su's apology." Luo Qingshun smiled disdainfully. "Some things can't be obtained with money. If I want to be richer than you, it's not a difficult thing. However, if you want to possess the abilities that I possess, it will be harder than ascending to the heavens. You said that my status is not good enough for Qinzhou, but I don't think so." Su Yuan's words in the living room were still lingering in her mind. Indeed, they were all harsh words. She never let herself suffer a loss. Su Yuan was Su Qinzhou's father, so she naturally wouldn't do anything excessive. But at the very least, she still wanted an apology. When Su Yuan heard that, his dark eyes looked at her intently. At this moment, he really couldn't understand Luo Qingshun. To a certain extent, the moment the two of them entered the study at the same time, this girl's aura had completely overwhelmed his. This was clearly his study, and this was clearly the place where the supreme god was worshipped, but her aura was still very strong. "All right." After a while, Su Xian narrowed his dark eyes. He looked at her with a deep gaze and said, "I promise you, if you can really give me an answer, not only will I apologize to you, I will apologize to you in front of Qinzhou." Very good. Luo Qingshun's brows moved slightly. The corner of her mouth rose slightly. She said, "We didn't choose wrong. Yi Duoyun is Madame Fong from the previous life. You can see the specific scene for yourself. Chapter 30:16. For an entire hour, Su Yuan closed his eyes and went from being calm in the beginning to crying in the end. Luo Qingchun saw it all. His feelings for Fong Yin could be said to be endless, like a torrential river. He loved his wife dearly, very dearly. Therefore, when his wife passed away from illness, his heart left the world with his wife. He prayed to the gods to let him and his wife be together again. He even sacrificed his life. Actually, you should be very clear. Luo Qingchun blinked and said, Yi Duoyin had been a fool for a year before she married you. Then she fell seriously ill and suddenly recovered. That day, she went to Hawaiian temple to thank the gods, but she didn't expect you to meet. Then Yin came to me. Su Yuan could no longer control his emotions. His old face was full of tears, and he lost all his dignity. Yes, you know very well that you didn't make the wrong choice, but this kind of vague intuition can't really give you a peace of mind. Luo Qingchun pursed her lips and said with a smile, I don't know if my reassurance came in time. You are really not an ordinary person. Su Yuan closed his eyes, and Fong Yin's past and present lives still appeared in front of his eyes. The excitement in his heart couldn't be calmed down for a long time. I said it. Luo Qingchun smiled casually and said, Maybe I'm good friend with the gods. In fact, what she said was not completely unreasonable. After all, she had played the role of a god in a certain plane. Yes. Su Yuan seemed to be very emotional and revealed a smile. I was really muddle-headed. It's not that you're not worthy of Qinzhou, but perhaps Qinzhou is not worthy of you. No. Luo Qingchun heard this and shook her head firmly. Between us, no matter in our past and present lives, there has never been a saying that one of us is worthy of the other. Su Yuan looked at her determined eyes, and a complicated expression appeared between his eyebrows. Perhaps a person with such powerful abilities like her had already seen through her past and present lives. Thank you for giving me the answer. Su Yuan slowly stood up and bowed deeply to Luo Qingchun. It is Chunzhou's fortune to be able to marry you. My temperament is very different from Master Su's, but there is a similarity between us. Luo Qingchun turned around, as if she was talking to Su Yuan, but also to herself. Whether it is the past or present life, I hope that he will always be blessed. Luo Qingchun's words were very deep, but at this moment, Su Yuan seemed to understand. Perhaps they were all the same. They were all working hard in order to meet someone's past life. In the hall, Su Qinzhou and Yi Duoyun sat across from each other. The two of them didn't say a single word. Yi Duoyun looked out of the window. She wanted to divert her attention and waste as much time as possible. This was really an awkward atmosphere. Su Qinzhou, on the other hand, was very indifferent. He elegantly brewed and tasted the tea. A pot of clear water was poured over the tea leaves, and the fragrance of the tea was left in the blue and white porcelain teacup. He placed one of the cups in front of Yi Duoyun to show politeness, but did not speak. That girl and his father had already been in the study for an hour. At first, his heart was still faintly uneasy, but the more time passed, the calmer his heart became. Su Yuan's thoughts were meticulous. He was indeed a very calm person. However, according to his thoughts of matching in status and difference in status, he would only mock and ridicule Luo Qingchun. Chapter 30:17. Did you pour the tea for me? Yi Duoyun froze. She felt strangely nervous. When it came to Su Qinzhou, she was far more nervous than when she was with Su Yuan. In terms of aura, Su Yuan's aura was much stronger than Su Qinzhou's. However, for some reason, when she was with Su Yuan, she felt very relaxed. She felt that there wasn't a 20-something-year gap between them. She always thought that the heavens let her be reborn so that she could meet Su Yuan. Even if there was a large age gap, she still didn't hesitate. Is there anyone else here? Su Qinzhou sipped his tea. Are you also so restrained in front of him? He always had a lukewarm attitude towards Yi Duoyun. Sometimes, he was even very cold. It wasn't because his father and mother loved each other passionately. After his mother died, he didn't want his father to marry again. It was because Yi Duoyun was younger than him. After his mother passed away, Su Yuan was his only family. It was a kind of spirit. It was the support of faith. He could marry. After all, this was human nature. However, he couldn't accept Yi Duoyun's age. In his opinion, he very carelessly thought that Yi Duoyun married into the Su family for money. As for Su Yuan, he was completely infatuated with her. He didn't care about anyone's objections and words and insisted on marrying her. Yi Duoyun picked up a teacup and held it tightly with both hands. The temperature of the tea made her feel less nervous. Her eyebrows trembled slightly. No, I've never been nervous. When we first met, I felt a sense of déjà vu. Su Chenzhou humphed coldly and didn't say anything else. Naturally, he didn't believe a single word she said. Prejudice existed from the beginning. If you want to change it, it will be very difficult. Actually, I know you don't believe me. Yi Duoyun pursed her lips and said, I've only lived in this world for a few years. I've never been in love and enjoyed the youth of a normal person. And then? Su Chenzhou raised his eyebrows. Do your parents not want you to marry into a rich family? Yi Duoyun shrugged and smiled helplessly. They naturally want me to marry into a rich family because my two younger brothers spend too much and because they like to gamble and pick up girls. If I marry into a rich family, I can give them a better life. Su Chenzhou froze for a moment. He naturally didn't think that Yi Duoyun would say these words so directly and sincerely, although he already knew about these things. After all, Yi Duoyun was going to marry his father. How could he not investigate this woman who was younger than him? You are quite honest. After a long time, Su Chenzhou narrowed his eyes and said in an indifferent tone, Actually, Su Yuan knows all of this. Yi Duoyun took a deep breath and said, Would you believe me if I said that I've never squandered Su Yuan's money for my family? It doesn't matter whether I believe it or not. Su Chenzhou seriously stared in her eyes and said, What's important is whether you believe it or not. Moreover, there's no such thing as recklessly squandering, so it's not appropriate. You're really smart. Yi Duoyun scratched her head in annoyance and said, I did bring some living expenses home. 3,000 yuan a month. It's enough for them to eat and wear. It's neither more nor less. Su Chenzhou lightly knit his eyebrows. His tone became cold and indifferent as he said, You don't need to tell me these things. Chapter 30:18. They seemed to have finished talking. Yi Duoyun lightly bit her lips and said, You don't need to worry. You're thinking too much. Su Chenzhou leisurely sipped his tea and said, She has never made me worry. Since she wanted to talk to Su Yuan alone, it meant that she already had her own plans. Yi Duoyun heard this, and her eyebrows seemed a bit downcast. She crossed her arms in front of her chest and said, You guys are so nice. You're the same age, and she's smart. Su Chenzhou didn't say anything and slightly nodded. His gaze fell on Luo Qingchun, who was coming down from the second floor. But in the next second, his expression became a bit startled. Luo Qingchun was walking in front, and Su Yuan was following behind her. His father had always been very strict. No matter if it was at the company or at home, the word order was very important to him. No matter what, he wouldn't let the younger generation walk in front of him. Of course, no one dared to walk in front of him. But why was Luo Qingchun not only walking in front of Su Yuan? Even her expression seemed very relaxed. He naturally knew that she was smart and powerful, but she shouldn't be this exaggerated. What are you looking at? Luo Qingchun casually sat down next to him. Her lips carried a faint smile as she said, Uncle is such an easy person to get along with. How can you say that he's strict? These sudden words not only made Su Chenzhou feel very shocked. Even Yi Duoyun, who was standing to the side, widened her eyes. This kind of feeling was like Su Chenzhou welcoming her with a smile one day. It was inconceivable. Everyone sit down, everyone sit down. Su Yuan's pitch-black eyes were no longer strict. Instead, there was a touch of kindness as he looked at Su Chenzhou and said, It's Dad's fault. I didn't completely understand Qingchun before saying such harsh words to her. Dad is here to formally apologize to Qingchun and to you. Dad. In this instant, Su Chenzhou was completely stunned by Su Yuan's words. He couldn't even say a single word. Luo Qingchun couldn't help but laugh at this scene. She had never seen Su Chenzhou reveal such an expression before. It was as if he was a child who had received a surprise gift. He wanted to laugh out loud, but he had to suppress the joy and excitement in his heart. Uncle is very easy to talk to, Luo Qingchen added. You have to understand Uncle's heart more. You guys, Su Qinzhou's deep eyes gently blinked, appearing especially cute as he looked at her, and said, You guys, what did you guys say? His curiosity was piqued to the extreme. Su Yuan was his father. He naturally knew better than anyone what kind of person he was. Stubbornness and stubbornness. Once he had decided on something, it was almost impossible to change it. Even if he wanted to change it, it would take a long time. It was absolutely impossible to change his opinion of Luo Qingchen in such an hour. Why? What was the reason? It's just family matters. Luo Qingchen shrugged and looked at Su Qinzhou. What did you and Madam talk about? Look at the tea you've brewed. I don't have anything to say to her. Su Qinzhou glanced to the side and said, It's just basic etiquette. Chapter 30:19. Su Qinzhou was stunned. He narrowed his eyes, and his eyes were filled with doubt. He wanted to ask something, but he knew that they wouldn't tell him anything. This was like a black hole filled with mystery. He wanted to know the truth, but he couldn't. Seeing the atmosphere become this good, I don't know why I'm so moved. Yi Duiyun's eyes were a bit red as she looked at Luo Qingchen and said, Can I accompany you to choose a wedding? I've been to many weddings in the past few years, so I'm quite knowledgeable about wedding dresses. Su Qinzhou's eyes slowly fell onto Yi Duiyun, but he didn't say anything else this time. It was like those harsh words had reached his mouth, but he couldn't say them. All right. Luo Qingchen pursed her lips and said, I feel that everyone still needs time to prepare. What time does Master Su think is the best? The Su family group will have a big auction in the next 2 months. Su Yuan fell into deep thought. He looked at Su Qinzhou and said, How about we set it in late autumn 3 months from now? Late autumn. The maple leaves fell to the ground, and the yearning turned to frost. His father and mother had met in late autumn, and their hearts were connected. No matter what difficulties they met, they would overcome them and never let go of each other's hands. Until his mother passed away, he didn't believe in women and didn't even believe in love. All right. Su Qinzhou softly took Luo Qingchen's hand, and his eyes became gentle. He looked at Su Yuan and said, You can make the decision. She was right. He had brought her to his house to get Su Yuan's approval. Now, the thing that he couldn't do, she had changed the opinion of this stubborn old man with just a few words. He didn't know what other shining points she had. Why was it that a woman could give him a normal feeling when they first met, but then she would amaze him every day? She would amaze his life and amaze his time. Ding! Affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate is now 70%. There were some people that he had unknowingly fallen in love with, and there were some people that he didn't hate without knowing it. After coming back from the villa, the 4 of them were busy with their own things. Su Yuan was preparing for the bidding day and night. Yi Duiyun, on the other hand, found a few well-known wedding dress designers. She wanted to make the most beautiful wedding dress for Luo Qingchen. She knew that Su Qinzhou's mother, Su Yuan's first wife, was a wedding dress designer. Actually, she was not jealous of her. She just felt that she might be able to do something that she couldn't. Su Qinzhou had just received the copyright to the author's Parting Palace novel a few days ago and was planning to start filming it. This was a palace drama about the main female lead. It was about a modern person who transmigrated into a concubine in the cold palace, and how she walked step by step towards the Weiyang Palace. Everyone was trying to outwit each other, and every step was frightening. Young master, many agents have called to recommend the female lead for this drama, Wang said as he sorted out the information, but they're all asking if there are any big shots playing the other roles. Parting Palace was a Qing dynasty drama, and there were many concubines in it. If there was a big shot, then the female lead would be more likely to become popular. Chapter 30:20. But, Wang asked with some doubt, Palace. Beijing isn't as high as Parting Palace on the novel rankings. That's right. Su Qinzhou raised his eyebrows and said, I just want to know if they're more interested in the script or the popularity of the big stars. Oh, Wang suddenly said, Young master is wise. Sure enough, Wang let out a rumor, and all the agents and actors called to ask about the casting requirements for Palace, Beijing. The agents naturally hoped that their artist could successfully win the female lead of Palace, Beijing. Therefore, they used all their skills and did everything they could. But Su Qinzhou always said to wait, so they couldn't say anything. As for Luo Qingqian, after returning from the villa, she hadn't seen Su Qinzhou for a long time. After all, she had her own goals. In 3 months, it would be her wedding with Su Qinzhou. She wanted to use 3 months to have a place in the entertainment industry. Therefore, this goddess selection was especially important for her. Yin Cixi didn't have much hope, but seeing Luo Qingqian so focused, he also became serious. The two stayed up all night and worked together for a few days. Finally, they achieved what Luo Qingqian wanted. Unknowingly, the day of the selection quietly arrived. On the day of the performance, Qian Xiuxiu put on ancient makeup and wore a snow-white dress. She had to use her most beautiful posture to humiliate that ugly Luo Qingqian. Backstage before the performance. Yo, I heard that you guys have been practicing in seclusion these past 2 days. Qian Xiuxiu crossed her arms in front of her chest and looked at her with a mocking smile. I'm advising you not to waste your energy. You want to compete with the popular Xinxia drama with such a cliché script? What a joke. The types of scripts are different. At most, it can be divided into niche and popular. Luo Qingqian changed into a military camouflage uniform. She felt that her aura was enough to make people feel better. Her eyes were cold as she nodded. There is no difference between good and bad. Humph! Qian Xiuxiu gritted her teeth and said, What a pity. There's a clear distinction between the two of us. I'm just waiting to see how you embarrass yourself. As soon as she finished speaking, she walked past her with her head held high and her chest puffed out. Luo Qingqian narrowed her eyes, revealing a touch of coldness. In fact, she had many ways to deal with Qian Xiuxiu. However, she wanted everyone to see that there was no difference between different themes. The character's soul was also gone. According to the order of the drawing of lots, Qian Xiuxiu led the 18 people to perform the Great War of Gods and Demons first. For some reason, the judging panel this time was especially strong. They were all famous directors and scriptwriters in the film and television industry. Even the construction of the stage and the lighting effects were done on a large scale. Luo Qingqian and Yin Cixi stood in a dark corner of the stage, watching the performance of Qian Xiuxiu and the others. The scene was indeed magnificent, and the background music was just right. Qian Xiuxiu, who was playing the role of Huang Xian'er, looked at Yi Beifeng, who was playing the role of Gong Sunliang. When I met you, God told me that I couldn't escape. Huang Xian'er, my heart was originally a barren place. Then you came and walked around, and everything grew miraculously. Gong Sunliang, the rest of my life will not be blown by gentle winds, will not drink strong wine, and will not wait for old friends. Yunyan, Chapter 30:21. In addition, Huang Xian'er forgot her lines twice in the middle and looked up at the inscription board, which made people feel like they were acting out of character. Some people clapped and cheered, but most people who knew about this industry were silent. The script was good, the lines were good, and the scene and sound effects were perfect. But the actors might not have been chosen so well. After watching the whole scene, the most impressive one was Yi Beifeng, who played Gong Sunliang. He played the role of a cold and aloof, exalted immortal perfectly. Although the expression in his eyes was a little less affectionate, overall, it was already very good. Goose Feathersnow bowed, and the actor saluted. The directors and scriptwriters sitting in the front row applauded after a few seconds, and some didn't even applaud, but shook their heads slightly. Are they not good acting? Yin Cixi was wearing a floral cotton padded coat, looking a little nervous. Not good. Luo Qingqian didn't show any favoritism. Good was good, bad was bad, and anyone with eyes could tell. Thank you to all the young actors in War of Gods and Devils. The host went on stage and continued. Next, let's invite another group of young actors to bring us wandering in all directions. At the beginning, there is the sound of a rain of bullets, followed by the sound of people falling to the ground. Because there were too few of them, these sounds could only be replaced by audio. But it seemed that the effect was better this way. I can't change this world, but I can save the people here. Wei Zhonghua. She was wearing a military uniform and covered in mud. Standing on the empty stage, she looked even more lonely and lonely. She wrote me a letter again. Father is sick, so sick that he can't get out of bed. His figure when he was farming appeared in my mind. He said, wait for me to come back. Wei Zhonghua. She half knelt on the ground, her eyes full of tears, but she didn't let them fall. Because she couldn't cry. She was a role model for soldiers. Father died. He died in pain. I am his only son, but I can't even be filial. First there is the country, then there is the home. Wei Zhonghua. The battle this time was very good. We won despite being outnumbered and finally managed to withstand all the pressure. Before I could tell her that this place was safe, she sent another letter home. This time, it was my mother who left. Luo Qingshun stood alone on the stage. She felt the state of mind of Company Commander Wei Zhonghua, felt the sufferings of his life, and carried the heavy mission and responsibility step by step. She had slightly changed the script, but Wei Zhonghua's wife, Cui Hua, had traveled thousands of miles to meet her in the army. This was her only scene with Cui Hua, who was played by Yin Cixi. Father is dead, mother is dead, son is dead. I'm going to die soon. Cui Hua's clothes were tattered, and her shoes were worn out. Her feet were covered in blood. She glared at Wei Zhonghua with reddened eyes. Are you satisfied? Why do you want to live in this world? You can't even protect the family that gave birth to you. Why do you want to live? As a military wife, no one could understand her pain. She tried her best to play the role of a military wife, but in the end, she found that she had lost everything. She had nothing. Cui Hua's heart-wrenching cries brought the entire performance to the climax. Everyone held their breath and stared, wanting to know how Wei Zhonghua would answer. Chapter 3022. I'm unfilial. I can't protect my parents. I can't protect my children. Wei Zhonghua took a deep breath and said, but I'm protecting my motherland. I'm protecting the borders of the People's Republic of China. I'm protecting the country's elderly, the country's children. The background music slowly played. The rhythm was a little heavy, with a little passion. Then, Luo Qingshun wrote a monologue for Wei Zhonghua. First there is the country, then there is the home. Without the country, there is no home. I turned around and looked at the place where the 5-starred red flag fluttered. Is my home. My parents, my children, the filial piety that I can't fulfill in this life. I will use all my strength to repay you in the next life. In the next life, my country can be prosperous, free from the pain of war, free from the oppression of the Allied forces. The impassioned national anthem suddenly sounded. It was the most beautiful song, the most exciting auditory feast. Rise up, people who don't want to be slaves. Make our flesh and blood into our new Great Wall. Luo Qingshun closed her eyes slightly. At this moment, her eyes were slightly red. She was very moved. Although it was just a story, to a certain extent, this story shocked her heart to a certain extent. When the scene gradually came to an end, the moment the thunderous applause sounded, she came back to her senses. She was still standing on the stage. Clap, 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 clap. The audience applauded one after another. Luo Qingshun's eyes trembled slightly, and she bowed deeply. The directors and scriptwriters in the front row all stood up and applauded her, especially a few experienced directors. Their eyes were filled with tears. The more films they filmed, the more they understood that life was like a drama, and drama was like life. It's really very moving. Then let's invite the previous performance team to the stage. Sparse applause sounded. Everyone seemed to be still silent from Luo Qingshun's performance. They couldn't recover for a long time. Qian Xiuxiu stood on the stage. Looking at the scene below, she felt very uncomfortable. Since there's a competition, then there should be a ranking. Director Su, what do you think? Director Su took the microphone and commented, the current Xinxia dramas are indeed very popular. Even some of them have the highest ratings. Team A's acting scenes and music are not bad. Although their acting is a little shaky, they're not bad as students. Then, is there anyone who Director Su thinks performed the best? The host originally just wanted Director Su to comment a little more, but he didn't know that Director Su's next sentence would make the atmosphere a little awkward. I really haven't. Director Sue smiled and said, although we know that everyone on stage is a newcomer, we can't lower the standard of an actor. All right, looks like the directors are all very strict. The host said with a smile, then I believe that the two girls in Team B have left a deep impression on everyone. What do the directors think? At this moment, the 7 or 8 people in the front row raised their microphones at the same time, all wanting to be the first to speak. I've been in the industry for so many years, but I've never seen an actor who can portray ethnic feelings so well. I agree. It's as if she's that company commander. Many people think that military wives are enduring silently, but they have never acted out the hardships of soldiers. In that era, they were protecting the motherland, protecting the children of the world. Chapter 3023. Then, directors and scriptwriters, please write the names of Campus Film and Television Goddess and Campus Film and Television Prince Charming on the whiteboard. 3 minutes later, we will announce them one by one from left to right. Yi Beifeng gently clenched his fists and glanced at Luo Qingshun from the corner of his eyes. This seemed to be the first time he saw her in a military uniform. Under the imposing manner, there was such a pure and lovely face. Somehow, he had never felt that she was so excellent before. But now, it seemed that her whole body was emitting a dazzling light, even a light that he couldn't reach. Okay, time's up, the host said excitedly. Directors, please show the whiteboards from left to right. At this moment, the whiteboards came into view, with Luo Qingshun's name written on them. Male, Luo Qingshun. Female, Luo Qingshun. Only a few whiteboards had Yi Beifeng's name written on them. The rest of the whiteboards had Luo Qingshun's name written on them. Such a result naturally made everyone present gasp. Luo Qingshun was indeed very good. She deserved to be chosen as the Campus Film and Television Goddess. But why did many directors write Luo Qingshun's name in the Prince Charming section? Let me explain. Director Sue cleared his throat and picked up the microphone again to say, why do we not only choose classmate Luo Qingshun as the school goddess? We also chose her as the school male god. It's because her performance as company commander Wei Zhonghua is just too outstanding. We want everyone to know that soldiers are the real Prince Charming. Director Sue's impassioned speech brought the scene to the climax. The applause came one after another, all for Luo Qingshun, who played the role of a soldier on the stage. Yi Beifeng stood aside and looked at Luo Qingshun. He couldn't help but applaud. He suddenly felt proud of her and himself, because there was once such an outstanding girl who actually loved him wholeheartedly. In the end, not only did Luo Qingshun take the title of school goddess, she even took back the title of male god. While she was on entertainment news, the news of Su Qinzhou giving her the heart of the ocean on the cruise ship was dug up again. There were 1 or 2 idiots who commented that she had gotten the title of campus goddess through the back door. However, there were only 1 or 2 such people. After all, normal people had eyes. They could tell from a video that there was a back door. Qingshun, you're really amazing. I thought we were going to lose. Yin Cece was really happy for her. She even took out the grape wine that she had treasured for many years to share with her. Half of the credit goes to you. Luo Qingshun pursed her lips and said, Cece, you're actually very good at acting. Gold will always shine. I know. Yin Cece grinned and said, when I went backstage just now, several scriptwriters came to ask for my phone number. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have had such a good chance. You think too much. Luo Qingshun chuckled and said, this is your own credit. You gave yourself a very good chance. Me? But I'm so stupid. You're not stupid. You just can't think straight sometimes. Moreover, acting is more important than anything else in the entertainment industry. Yin Cece's acting was really good. She sincerely praised her. Chapter 3024. In a private room in the bar, Qian Xiuxiu drank cup after cup like a madwoman. Her face was red and her makeup was ruined by her tears. Woo. Why? Why can she become the goddess of the school? Is she worthy? Qian Xiuxiu felt as if she had fallen into a cold lake. It was as if the world had turned dark. She had worked so hard. In order to play the role of Huang Xian'er, she had rejected many gatherings and wanted to practice alone with Yi Beifeng. In the end, Yi Beifeng would rather practice in front of a statue than look at her. Xiao, don't be sad. This kind of person is shameless. Gu Fangfang comforted her, but we still have good news. What good news? There's no more good news. The title of goddess has been taken away. What good news is there? Qian Xiao cried like a person in tears. Her tears fell like they were worthless. Think about it. Wasn't there a rumor that Luo Qingxin and young master Su had an ambiguous relationship? Gu Fangfang raised her eyebrows and said, Su Qinzhou didn't come for such an important event today. This means that they have nothing to do with each other. Luo Qingxin came from an ordinary background. If it wasn't for the rumor about her relationship with Su Qinzhou, she wouldn't have liked her at all. Are you serious? Qian Xiao wiped her tears and said, He really didn't come. I confirmed it. Gu Fangfang said seriously, I heard that he's preparing to choose the female lead for Hatred Long Palace. Who has time for such an important matter? Is Hatred Long Palace about to start filming? Qian Xiaoxiu's face was instantly filled with joy. Then will I have a chance? Perhaps losing the title of goddess of the school would give her another chance. That's probably a bit difficult. I heard that this is Star Maker's main movie this year. Gu Fangfang pursed her lips and said, But that doesn't matter. Since Luo Qingxin and Su Qinzhou have nothing to do with each other, there will be many opportunities to deal with her in the future. We'll have to investigate to know if they have anything to do with each other. Qian Xiaoxiu narrowed her eyes. A sharp light flashed through her eyes. After suffering so many losses, she would never act rashly again. If he wanted to catch Luo Qingxin in one fell swoop and never let her rise again, the prelude work must be done well. How do you want to investigate? Don't you know a private investigator? Qian Xiaoxiu downed the beer in her hand and said, Ask him to investigate secretly. If the two of them have nothing to do with each other, then wouldn't it be as easy for us to deal with Luo Qingxin? Oh, Gu Fangfang said, Sister Xiao, I find that you're getting smarter and smarter. Of course. Qian Xiaoxiu clenched her fists and said, After being bullied so many times, I'd be a fool if I didn't learn to be smart. 8:10 p.m., Su Qinzhou's private villa. Lights, dishes, red wine, balloons, the preparations were complete, and the atmosphere was very romantic. Congratulations to fellow student Luo Qingxin for obtaining the title of campus goddess. Su Qinzhou raised the wine cup in his hand and said, Wife, how about a toast? TSK, TSK, TSK. Luo Qingxin pursed her lips and said, Your mouth is so sweet. Could it be that you did something wrong to me? How could that be? Su Qinzhou's deep eyes flashed with a faint light as he said, I saw your performance. You're very suitable to be an actress. Chapter 3025. Since the performance last time, there have been many directors who had invited her to act. It was probably because she could act as a soldier so well that the directors thought that she was a talent that could be molded. Su Qinzhou was the chairman of Star Creation Agency, so naturally he knew about this. After all, when he gave her the heart of the ocean, it had become a hot topic on Weibo. Did you get a lot of scripts? Su Qinzhou looked at her and asked, You don't have an agent yet. Luo Qingxin shook her head and said with a faint smile, I don't want an agent. I just want to be at the peak. I don't want to stay in this industry forever. That was the previous host's wish, so she should help her complete it. Otherwise, her conscience would be small and her experience points would be deducted. Don't agree to any roles for now. Su Qinzhou said in a deep voice, Although you're very smart, the entertainment industry is a big mess. I know. Luo Qingxin said with a serious nod. I have you. Although she didn't know what Su Qinzhou had been busy with recently, she knew that he knew everything about her. He was using another method to protect her, but he was doing it in silence and didn't say anything to her. Ding! Affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate is now 80%. He didn't know why, but when he heard her clearly state her goal, he felt even more at ease. There were many good scripts in the film industry and many good actors, but there weren't many popular dramas. If she had to enter this industry, her first work had to be a peak work. He had to make her a legend that no one could surpass. The windows weren't closed, and the faint moonlight shined down on them, making everything seem beautiful. But they didn't know that a certain detective not far away was holding a camera and taking pictures. Gotcha! 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 The next morning, Gu Fangfang came to Qian Xiuxiu's house. On the surface, the two of them were going to school together, but in fact they were both saying vicious and mean things. Sister Xiu, there's good news and bad news. Which one do you want to hear first? Gu Fangfang was wearing 10-centimeter high heels, a mink coat, and heavy makeup. She didn't look like a student at all. Rather, she looked like a woman in her 20s. Has the private investigator found anything? Qian Xiu's eyebrows lit up. Let me hear the bad news first. The bad news is that Luo Qingshun and young Master Su are still in contact. Gu Fangfang took out a seal bag and said, "The photos are inside." As expected, she really is relying on her relationship with Su. Su Qinzhou. Qian Xiuxiu bit her lip and tears fell again. If it wasn't for Su Qinzhou, how could she have obtained the title of school flower goddess? Don't cry yet, there's still good news. Gu Fangfang put the photos on the table and said, "What do you think will happen if these photos are shown to the public?" In public? Gu Fangfang narrowed her eyes and said, "Think about it. How many famous celebrities entered star creation because of young Master Su? And how many people want to marry him? Now it's revealed that he's cohabiting with an unknown college student. One explosive piece of news." You, Qian Xiuxiu frowned and said, "But isn't this pushing Su Qinzhou into the heart of the struggle?" Chapter 30:26. Gu Fangfang's words were like a curse, slowly replaying in Qian Xiuxiu's mind. "Are you sure?" Qian Xiuxiu swallowed her saliva and said, "What if it's discovered? That's Su Qinzhou. The higher the risk, the higher the reward." Gu Fangfang egged her on. "You don't want Luo Qingshun, a lowly peasant, to enter the entertainment industry and rise to fame, right?" Yes. Yes. You're right. The more Qian Xiuxiu thought about it, the more she felt that it was right. She nodded and said, I definitely won't let such a person enter the entertainment industry. She was a domineering person. She would never let go of anyone who tried to steal from her. First, it was Yi Beifeng. Now, it was the title of campus goddess. This kind of person was never satisfied. She was given some benefits and wanted more. This was the lowly nature of people with no status. They were greedy and wanted everything. She wanted to be the messenger of justice. She wanted to let everyone know that a person with a certain status should have a certain position. Don't stand in the wrong place. Otherwise, you would be doomed. But Sister Xiuxiu, the risks and benefits of doing this are all on you. Gu Fangfang pursed her lips and said, "Although I came up with the idea, there's always a chance. I'm just a small person. I can't shoulder this responsibility with Sister Xiuxiu." She could come up with ideas and methods, but she couldn't shoulder the responsibility. No matter what, she was still an upper-class person. Naturally, she couldn't blame a commoner like Luo Qingshun for stealing so much of the limelight. But the biggest difference between her and Qian Xiuxiu was that she would plan everything and never participate in it herself. Playing the pig to eat the tiger and protecting herself was definitely her usual tactic. Actually, she knew very well that compared to Qian Xiuxiu, she was more ruthless and more powerful. In the next second, Qian Xiuxiu harumphed and said, You're always so useless. You have a little idea, but you don't even have the courage to carry it out. You can only follow behind me and be my assistant for the rest of your life." Gu Fangfang's expression changed slightly. Qian Xiuxiu was used to being a princess. Sometimes, she would say some harsh words. Recently, he had been angered by Luo Qingshun, so he spoke less of such words. Back then, when she was the campus belle and had a handsome boyfriend like Yi Beifeng, she was always arrogant and proud. Her nose was so high up in the air that it almost reached the sky. She didn't like this feeling very much, but she was far-sighted and suppressed this anger deep down. Yeah, Gu Fangfang smiled and said, "I'm already very happy to be able to follow Sister Xiuxiu. I'm just a coward. You know that." Of course I understand." Qian Xiuxiu gave him a sideways glance and said, "Just watch how I make that little bitch fall into hell." Gu Fangfang looked at Qian Xiuxiu's confident face and smiled strangely. Sister Xiuxiu, you can do it. That night, Qian Xiuxiu contacted the media she knew and sent Gu Fangfang's photos to her. At the same time, she also bought a certain number of Internet Water Army to ferment the topic. Although Qian Xiuxiu was just a student, she was born in a noble family and had been admitted to the Film and Television Academy. She was quite clear about the daily schedule of the entertainment industry. At midnight that night, a marketing account called Digging into the Entertainment Industry posted a message on Weibo to promote the topic. Chapter 3027. Digging into the Entertainment Industry. The love story between Real Almighty and Cinderella continues. The answer will be revealed tomorrow as to whether or not the sapphire that symbolizes the fairy tale is still shining. Picture, Digging into the Entertainment Industry used a blurred photo as a warm-up. When it was posted on Weibo, not many people paid attention to it. After all, the account Digging into the Entertainment Industry wasn't very famous. Moreover, it was late and many people were already asleep. Although not many people paid attention to it, there were still a lot of people who replied immediately. Romantic balloon, what's going on? Did something big happen? Epigraph of my shack. TSK, TSK, TSK. Don't tell me it's a publicity stunt. Goodbye, youth, damn. This picture looks like the male and female leads of Love, Little Master. Don't tell me they're really together? Illusionary song. Don't talk nonsense, okay? Even if the picture is blurry, open your pea-sized eyes and look. Are these the male and female leads? Minus 137 asterisk 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 545. Add 1 to the comment below. Okay? Please don't include my idol. Thank you. There were many comments. Some people said that digging into the entertainment industry was a publicity stunt, but it wasn't a big deal at all. Some people said that they had a feeling that it was going to be a sensational event in the entertainment industry. Among all the comments, there was one that garnered the most attention and likes. Meng Meng is a little princess. Is the sapphire that symbolizes love the heart of the ocean? Are the so-called Real Almighty and Cinderella the two people from the auction? If it's a prediction, can you help me up? Please call me Queen. I'll go. Why do I feel like it's a bit interesting? Little White Dragon. Ha 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 ha. This is a bit interesting. Unparalleled hero. Help you up the wall. Although many people replied that night, it didn't become a hot topic. It didn't even make it to Weibo's top search. The real explosion happened at 8:00 sharp the next day. Digging into the entertainment industry posted all the photos of Luo Qingshun and Su Qinzhou on Weibo. The comments even had a leading effect. Digging into the entertainment industry. The entertainment industry is really muddy water. Please allow me to explain it in detail. I believe that everyone is already very familiar with the two people in the photo. They are the chairman of the Star Creation Management Company, Su Qinzhou, and the so-called Cinderella of the Film and Television Academy, Luo Qingshun. Yesterday, Little Picker finally had the chance to see this photo. Logically speaking, it wasn't a big deal even if the two of them were in a relationship. However, a meal or a candlelight dinner could be held outside. Why would they want to do it at home? According to the spy's analysis, there was only one reason, and that was that they were living together. One was the chairman of a management company, while the other was still a student. Was this considered a loss of morals? Moreover, there had always been reports that the chairman of Star Creation Management Company, Su Qinzhou, was an ascetic, handsome man. Now, it seemed like they were slapping their faces. Picture, when Dig Deep into the Entertainment Industry posted this Weibo post, the entire Weibo fell into a frenzy. Half of the people in the comments had positive and negative views, and it directly became the #1 trending topic on Weibo. Pretty lady, damn. Cohabitation? That was too disgusting. One of them wanted to sell himself, while the other wanted to enjoy himself. How disgusting. Gong Shi Fat Sai. Please, what does their cohabitation have to do with you? Since your family lives by the sea, why do you care so much? Chapter 3028. 5 words floated from the sky. I'll just say it like that. It was true that he had lost his morals, but it had nothing to do with the people present here. Not yet cold life. Spit, 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 spit. Definitely unfollow. Melon eating crowd. Actually, I think it's just some people whose dreams have been shattered, so they're making some harsh comments here. After 8 o'clock sharp, a full 10 minutes later, Weibo's reposts and comments already exceeded 10,000. It wasn't because Su Qinzhou's popularity was high, but because there were many female celebrities who expressed their opinions. Most of them were on the blogger's side, feeling surprised and confused. Only one of the female celebrities said something pertinent. MOCIV. Some female celebrities in Star Maker are really a group of people who kick people when they're down. When they found out that their boss can't be promoted, they revealed a disgusting face. This is why I'd rather stay in Dream Sculptor than Star Maker all these years. Dream Sculptor was another management company in the entertainment industry. Although it couldn't compare to Star Maker, it still produced a few popular male and female celebrities. MOCI was one of the very popular female celebrities. She dressed very neutrally and almost always acted as secret agents or spies. She was deeply loved by many fans. Luo Qingchun leaned back on the sofa and flipped through the comments on her iPad. She didn't forget to turn to Su Qinzhou, who kept talking on the phone. I feel that this female star named MOCI isn't bad. I'll recommend her to you. So you don't need to answer the phone. I'll personally reply to this on Weibo at 2 o'clock. Su Qinzhou faintly replied and hung up the phone. He turned around and looked at Luo Qingchun. You're quite calm. Didn't you want to be an actress? Aren't you afraid that this will ruin your acting career? What's there to worry about? Luo Qingchun blinked and said, I believe in our family's young master Su's public relations crisis. Uh-huh, Su Qinzhou said with a faint smile. You've even learned the words public relations crisis. Luo Qingchun pursed her lips and smiled. Of course. Also, the words of those female celebrities from your company are really sour. Not our company. Su Qinzhou very seriously denied. Oh, your company. Company. It's not our company. Luo Qingchun was startled. She looked at him with a puzzled expression. Could it be that those female celebrities who spoke out this morning are no longer with Star Creation Management Company? I was worried that you would be worried, but now it seems that our eldest daughter-in-law doesn't care at all. Su Qinzhou looked into her eyes and gently patted her head. She has already personally made the wedding dress for you. When you have time in the afternoon, go take a look. Luo Qingchun could suddenly see a different emotion in Su Qinzhou's eyes. He didn't reject that woman called Yi Duoyun as much anymore. Okay. Luo Qingchun nodded and said, but what are you going to announce at 2 p.m.? In the next second, Su Qinzhou's deep eyes flashed with a faint light as he said, perhaps it's not me, but rather what we are going to announce. We? Luo Qingchun looked at Su Qinzhou's expression and could roughly guess what was going on. However, what she didn't expect was that the we he was referring to had a double meaning. 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Chapter 3029. Su Qinzhou. I'm sorry to disappoint some people, but we have a license. Picture. The first picture was taken at the entrance of the Public Identification Bureau, and the second picture was their marriage certificate. The moment he posted on Weibo, the comments under the post went up in waves. Many onlookers were, in the incarnation of justice, slapping the face of the person. No flowers in heaven. Ha ha. Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha. Does your face hurt? Little pudding. They're a legitimate couple. Okay? Lost Xia. I'm just here to watch the show. I didn't know who Su Qinzhou was, but I'm going to be his fan today. Big White. I feel like the CEO of Star Maker is going to be angry. He brought his wife to have a candlelight dinner, and they're being accused of living together. Cute, that's right. They're not public figures. So what does it have to do with you? Digging into the entertainment industry, 10 minutes later, Su Yuan reposted Su Qinzhou's post and added a comment. Su Yuan, I just want to know, what does my son and daughter-in-law eating at home have to do with you? For some people, I will investigate them thoroughly. Wang Li, CEO of Qinjian Real Estate. Big Boss is trembling. Chen Feng, CEO of Sanshui. Same. Eli, CEO of Xiangsong. Same. This was the first time the entertainment industry and the business industry had spoken together. This so-called digging into the entertainment industry had offended a lot of people. Can I also post on Weibo? Yi Duoyun blinked and looked at Luo Qingchun cutely. I also want to post on Weibo. Ever since she married into the Su family, Su Qinzhou's attitude towards her had been very cold. This was the first time he replied to her about the wedding dress, so she was very happy. Ever since she became conscious, she felt that Su Chinjo was very close to her, as if they had known each other for a long time. However, his attitude towards her had nothing to do with the word close. This time, there was a sudden change, and she greedily wanted to change it more thoroughly. Okay, Luo Qingchen blinked and smiled. Then let's take a picture together. Can I? Of course. Luo Qingchen smiled and said, although you are only a few years older than me, you should be my elder. Yi Duoyin nodded happily. She took out her phone to take a photo of her and Luo Qingchen and posted it on Weibo. Both the wedding dress and the person were beautiful. Asterisk caret, caret asterisk. Qian duo wow. What young stepmother. She's so beautiful. Spring of that year. Looks like outsiders are gossiping about things that the entire family knows. Nothing good comes out of a dog's mouth. Half an hour later, the comments on Weibo were one-sided. That Weibo ID called Digging into the Entertainment Circle had been completely exposed. It was a medium-sized self-media company, and its operator was called Zhou Tao. However, at this moment, the most nervous person was not Zhou Tao. Instead, it was Qian Xiuxiu, who was sitting in front of the computer. Her mouth was dry, and she kept drinking water. From beginning to end, this matter had been handled by her. How intelligent was Su Chinjo? Now that Luo Qingchen was his wife, he would definitely protect her with all his might. It was impossible for him to stay far away from her. As long as he investigated a little, she would not be able to hide. Qian Xiuxiu's hand trembled, and she quickly called Gu Fangfang. She did not expect that the moment the call connected, the voice that came from the other side was... Chapter 30:30. Turn off? Why would she turn off her phone? Wasn't this her idea? Shouldn't they be discussing a countermeasure at this time? Why did Gu Fangfang just turn off her phone? Qian Xiuxiu put down the phone, and her fingertips unconsciously trembled. She felt that this time, she had made a big deal out of it. However, how could she be blamed for this? Even if she died, she would never have thought that Luo Qingchen was already married to Su Chinjo. What kind of person was Su Chinjo? Even if he was interested in the so-called Cinderella, he wouldn't marry her so decisively. Moreover, the people in the circle only knew that Chairman Su Yuan was a very stubborn person who was obsessed with matching families. Even with her family background, Su Yuan might not even look at her, let alone Luo Qingchen. However, she couldn't care about that now. She had to think of a way. Otherwise, if Su Chinjo knew that she was the one who did all this, her life would be over. Just as she was at a loss, Zhou Tao called her. Qian Xiuxiu immediately picked up the phone and roared in a low voice. Why are you calling me now? What if my relationship with you is discovered? From Qian Xiuxiu's point of view, the person she should stay away from the most right now was Zhou Tao. After all, in less than half an hour, his information had been completely exposed. You think that if something happens to me, you can still escape unscathed? Zhou Tao coldly snorted and said, Miss Qian, you have no way out now. If you want to continue in the entertainment circle in the future, I'm afraid it won't be that easy. What do you mean? Qian Xiuxiu gritted her teeth and said, You call me to drag me down with you? No. Zhou Tao shook his head and said, I want to help you and help myself at the same time. How do you want to help me? Su Chinjo must already know your identity. Qian Xiuxiu frowned and said, How can you help me? Miss Qian, you have to understand that the person you want to deal with now is not Luo Qingchen, but Su Chinjo. Zhou Tao said in a low voice, Dream Sculptors Chairman Yi Dong wants to see you. An hour later, in a unique and elegant coffee house, Yi Dong was dressed in a formal suit. He sat by the window and drank his coffee elegantly. Hello, Miss Qian. Chairman Yi has been waiting for you for a long time. Qian Xiuxiu walked over and sat opposite Yi Dong. Chairman Yi, this is an emergency. I'll get straight to the point. Zhou Tao said that you can help me. He's right. Yi Dong elegantly rotated the buttons on the sleeves of his suit and said, I have already helped him leave city temporarily. As for you, if you still want to enter the entertainment circle in the future, there's only one way. What is it? Qian Xiuxiu asked nervously. Please tell me. The corners of Yi Dong's mouth curled into a cold smile as he said, If Su Chinzhou falls from power, he will naturally not be able to threaten you. Su Chinzhou? Qian Xiuxiu bit her lips and said, "What kind of person is he? How can I let him fall? I can help you. As long as you are willing to do it, I can help you." "I am willing to do it." Qian Xiuxiu looked at Yi Dong without any hesitation and said, "As long as I can enter the entertainment industry without being affected, I am willing to do anything." Chapter 30-31. At the same time, in the Su family's villa. Since it was late to try on the wedding dress, Yi Duoyin invited Luo Qingxin home for dinner. "Actually, I'm not very good at cooking. I can only cook a few dishes well." Yi Duoyin smiled and said, "Su Yuan likes those dishes." Luo Qingxin liked Yi Duoyin very much. She looked at her quietly and could feel a touch of gentleness in her eyes. It was like the warm sun in winter, especially warm. "Then I have to try it today." Luo Qingxin pursed her lips and said, "I have to let young master Su Si have a taste too." Yi Duoyin was stunned for a moment. She turned her head in surprise and said, "He's coming back today?" "Yeah. He said he wanted to pick me up. I said I was going home with you. So he said we should go home for dinner." Luo Qingxin replied seriously and observed Yi Duoyin's eyes. Her eyes were filled with anticipation. Even if Yi Duoyin didn't have the memories of her past life, some emotions would be buried deep in her heart and couldn't be forgotten no matter how long time passed. Okay. Yi Duoyin lowered her head in embarrassment and said, "Ever since I married Su Yuan, Qinzhou has never eaten at home. I know he doesn't like me. He thinks that because of me, his father had a change of heart." When she said the last few words, Yi Duoyin's tone sounded a little disappointed. She wanted to play a good role as a stepmother. She knew she couldn't be as good to him as his biological mother, but she could try her best. "I feel that Qinzhou's attitude towards you has changed." Luo Qingxin blinked and said, "I think you will understand." Luo Qingxin thought for a long time about whether she should tell Su Qinzhou or tell Yi Duoyin about Fang Yiyin and Yi Duoyin's past life. After thinking about it, since a person had crossed the bridge and drank Mang Po's soup, they should forget about their past life. Those who had memories of their past life might not be in pain, but they might not be happy either. Moreover, Su Yuan already knew about this, but he didn't tell Yi Duoyin and Su Qinzhou. Perhaps their thoughts were the same. 2 hours later, Yi Duoyin put on an apron and brought bowls of dishes to the table. Although Su Qinzhou didn't say anything nice, he didn't say anything harsh either. He just looked at the documents and leaned on the sofa without saying a word. "You made so many dishes." Su Yuan walked down from upstairs and looked at the table full of dishes. "They're all my favorite dishes." "Master, Madam is amazing." The maid standing at the side said, "Almost all the dishes were made by Madam herself. The few of us were just assistants." "All right, let's eat." Yi Duoyin glanced at Luo Qingxin. Luo Qingxin immediately patted Su Qinzhou's shoulder and said, "You're not destined to work. Don't work when you get home." Su Qinzhou raised his eyebrows and glanced at Luo Qingxin. He smiled and said, "I'm just waiting for dinner." He naturally knew the meaning behind Luo Qingxin's words. Actually, since the day his father recognized the person he loved, his view of Yi Duoyin had already changed. However, some emotions were deeply rooted and couldn't be removed so quickly. However, he seemed to understand that Yi Duoyin didn't marry his father for money or status. She really loved his father deeply. As for the reason, he didn't know. Chapter 30-32. Yi Duoyin heard this and said with a bright smile, "Come and eat. It'll be cold soon." The family sat at the table and ate the hot dishes. Not to mention the others. Even Luo Qingxin, who had only met them a few times, was filled with satisfaction. This was the aura of home and the taste of home. "Actually, even I haven't eaten as many dishes as Duoyin has made." Su Yuan said with an emotional look, "Actually, I have to thank Qingxin for this. This really is good." If there wasn't Luo Qingxin, he wouldn't have been able to confirm the relationship between Fang Yiyin and Yi Duoyin. If he was doubtful in the beginning, no matter how much he liked her in the beginning, he would start doubting her in the end. Once there was too much doubt, there would be a gap between the two of them. But Luo Qingxin had given him an answer. Then until he died, he wouldn't have this gap. He. Yi Duoyin revealed a cute smile as she said, because when I went to the supermarket earlier, I secretly asked Qingchen what Qingzhou liked to eat, so I bought a few more. There were many dishes that I made for the first time, so I don't know if they're tasty or not. Everyone here was smart, so naturally they knew that Yi Duoyin was looking for a way to talk to Su Qingzhou. Luo Qingchen didn't forget to kick Su Qingzhou's leg as she gave him a cute wink. But after that, suddenly, ding, affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate is now 90%. Luo Qingchen had a stunned look. Didn't she want Su Qingzhou to praise Yi Duoyin? Why did he give her a favorable impression of him for no reason? Not bad. Although there was a sparkle in Su Qingzhou's eyes, he still politely said, "Thank you." Yi Duoyin was stunned as her eyes turned a bit red. She bit her lip and said, "It's fine as long as everyone is happy." After the meal, although there weren't many words, one could feel that everyone's hearts were filled with gratitude. This kind of gratitude was deep in their hearts, and it didn't disappear even after the meal. Su Qingzhou stayed at home for the first time after Yi Duoyin married into the Su family. Yi Duoyin had already made a new bed. She said that it was to prepare for their return. On the balcony, Luo Qingchen looked at Su Qingzhou's back and walked forward with a cup of coffee. "What are you thinking about?" Luo Qingchen handed him the coffee and said, "Young Master Su is like a filial son today. You performed very well." Su Qingzhou was stunned for a moment. His eyebrows moved slightly as he said, "I am a henpecked husband. I'm not a filial son." If she hadn't kicked him, he felt that he wouldn't have been able to speak. But in fact, in that situation, he also wanted to say something in the depths of his heart, but he didn't know what to say. "Why do I suddenly feel like you're a hypocritical Su Qingzhou?" Luo Qingchen tilted her head and looked at his deep eyes. "Actually, you don't hate her anymore, right?" Silence, silence, silence. It was like there was a layer of frost in the air that wouldn't dissipate for a long time. After a while, it was like he was talking to Luo Qingchen, but also like he was talking to himself. Chapter 3033. Luo Qingchen knew that these were Su Qingzhou's heartfelt words. These words had been suppressed in his heart for a long time. Today, he could finally say them out loud. "I heard that your father and mother were a couple that everyone envied." Luo Qingchen blinked and said, "Master Su must have loved his wife a lot." Su Qingzhou revealed a reminiscing smile and said, "When I was young, I played around. Every time I made my mother angry, he would beat me in anger. I remember that he once said to me that your mother suffered so much giving birth to you. You shouldn't have been born. It wasn't worth it for her to give birth to you." As he spoke, his eyes turned red. Luo Qingchen slowly hooked her arm around the back of his hand and said, "Actually, Madame Su must have felt that it was worth it." "Yes." Su Qingzhou took a deep breath and said, "At the time, I didn't understand why my father was so fierce to me. However, later on, I gradually understood. It was because he loved my mother enough that he couldn't bear for her to suffer any grievances." "I understand how you feel." Luo Qingchen continued. "After she passed away, you must have been very sad. However, while you were sad, the love you believed in suddenly collapsed. Therefore, the gap between you two grew larger and larger. You also didn't like Yi Duoyin even more." Luo Qingchen naturally understood. This was because her relationship with Su Qingzhou had already reached a very deep level. However, the favorability he gave her family had been slowly increasing. She could feel his love and protection. However, even now, it still hadn't reached 100%. This was because there was always a knot in his heart. Even though he had gradually begun to accept Yi Duoyin, this knot was still in his heart. However, that day, when I suddenly realized that he accepted you and gave us his sincere blessings, I discovered that I didn't seem to reject them as much anymore. Su Qingzhou turned to look at her and said, "You still haven't told me how you made him accept you?" Luo Qingchen pursed her lips. She leaned her hands on the railing and looked at the moon in the sky. She slowly said, "Did you know that after your mother passed away, Master Su always went to the temple?" Su Qingzhou stared blankly for a moment before lightly knitting his brows and saying, "I know." After his mother left, in order to calm his heart, Su Yuan went to temples all over the world, big and small. At first, he could also feel his father's longing for his mother. However, Ever since Yi Duoyun appeared, Su Yuan's entire heart was with Yi Duoyun. Regardless of his objections and the gossip of others, he wanted to marry her without hesitation and let her replace Feng Ying as the madam of the Su family. When it comes to praying, it will only come true if you are sincere. Luo Qingqiang glanced sideways and looked at his doubtful eyes. Maybe Master Su is too affectionate, so he married a new wife. Luo Qingqiang's words were very tactful, but she could clearly feel the change on Su Qingzhou's face. He probably understood what he was saying. You mean? Luo Qingqiang shook her head lightly. My opinion is not important, but I want to say something from Master Su. He never betrayed your mother. Everything he did was to continue the dream of this life. This life's dream. Chapter 30-34. The starry sky was very bright, and the light in Su Qingzhou's eyes was even brighter. Luo Qingqiang didn't tell him what happened, but she knew that he could understand. Because the next day, he woke up early and wanted to make breakfast for everyone. But he found that Yi Duoyun had woken up even earlier than him. When they met in the kitchen, they looked at each other and smiled, then made breakfast together. Yi Duoyun was still careful, but no one could understand the deep throbbing in her heart. Everything seemed to be very beautiful, as if the rest of their lives would be peaceful and beautiful, wasting away time. Only, in the midst of peace, there would always be accidents. Yi Dong and Yi Beifeng sat together drinking afternoon tea. He was his half-brother, the chairman of the Dream Creation Company. I heard that you've been in a bad mood recently because of Su Qingzhou. Yi Dong took a sip of coffee and said in an indifferent tone. Yi Beifeng's gaze was a bit cold. His brother didn't say that he was good or bad. He just liked to meddle in his business. This is my private matter. Yi Beifeng coldly said, You don't need to worry about it. Don't worry, you're my little brother. I won't let you be bullied. Yi Dong looked into his eyes and said with an indifferent expression, The plan is already being carried out. I just came to tell you. What plan? Yi Beifeng's face suddenly showed a bit of joy. You have a way. Didn't brother say it already? Yi Dong elegantly took out a handkerchief from his pocket and gently wiped his lips. The plan is already being carried out. Star Creation Company parking lot. Su Qingzhou went to the parking lot, as usual, to pick up Luo Qingqiang, who was about to leave class. Little did he know that when he opened the car door, a strange smell assailed his nostrils. He couldn't be more familiar with this smell. It was the badger jump that they met on the cruise ship. Damn it, it's here again. Su Qingzhou gave a low roar and immediately closed the car door. And at this time, he heard the cry of Luo Qingqiang not far away. Save me, is there anyone? Don't be like this. At this moment, Su Qingzhou's forehead was already covered with beads of sweat. He quickly ran towards the direction of the sound and saw several large men surrounding a girl. This girl was wearing the same dress as Luo Qingqiang's. If you don't scram, don't blame me for being impolite. Su Qingzhou used his fastest speed to rush over. The several large men looked at each other in dismay. Unexpectedly, at the same time, they all fled in a different direction. Su Qingzhou's brows furrowed and grabbed the girl's wrist. Qingqiang. She didn't know that in the next second, when she turned around, she saw an unfamiliar face. And help me. And then save me. Someone come save me. Someone come save me to save me, someone come save me. In less than 10 seconds, a group of people rushed out. Like a hero saving a damsel in distress, they firmly held Su Qingzhou down. In broad daylight, the universe is clear and bright. The man in a suit narrowed his eyes and looked at Su Qingzhou with a cold smile. You actually dare to kidnap a civilian girl. You really are evil. The drug entered his blood and flowed into his brain. He felt that his breathing was getting heavier and heavier, and his head was getting heavier and heavier. Chapter 30-35. An hour later, Luo Qingqiang received 2 calls. The first one came from the hospital, and the second one came from Yi Beifeng. What's wrong? What happened? Yi Duoyun quickly put on her jacket while saying, Why did Qingzhou go to the hospital? Did something happen to him? Luo Qingqiang lightly knit her brows. She naturally felt it was strange. When Su Qingzhou went to the hospital, Yi Bei Feng actually called her and said that he had something to show her. In order to guarantee that she would go, Yi Bei Feng also told her that the thing he wanted to show her was naturally related to Su Qinzhou. Qingshun, why aren't you saying anything? Yi Duoyun nervously bit her lips and kept pacing back and forth. No, Madam. Luo Qingshun pulled her hand and slightly knit her brows. Don't be nervous. Let the driver take you to the hospital first. Don't drive yourself. With her current mental state, it really wasn't good for her to drive herself. Now that things had already happened, and since Yi Bei Feng said that he wanted to tell her about Su Qinzhou, she had to go. After all, when the hospital called, they said that young Master Su should have used some kind of special drug. Although the nurse said it very tactfully, she could roughly guess what kind of special drug it was. When they were on the cruise ship, someone did this to Su Qinzhou. It seemed like this person still hadn't given up. You're not going? Yi Duoyun pursed her lips and said, If I go alone, I'm scared that he won't be happy if he sees me. He won't now. Luo Qingshun's brows slightly moved and said, This matter is a bit strange. I'm going to investigate it. After I figure it out, I'll immediately go to the hospital to find you guys. Although Yi Duoyun was still very hesitant, she still obediently nodded and said, Okay. Yi Bei Feng gave her an address. It was his private club. This place existed in the original host's memory. She vaguely remembered that when she followed behind Yi Bei Feng, she had come to this place. However, at that time, her status was even lower than a spare tire. She didn't have the qualifications to walk into this private club with Yi Bei Feng. But now, when she stood at the door, 3 or 4 bodyguards respectfully said to her, Miss Luo, please come in. Yi Bei Feng's family background was very good, so it was not difficult for him to hire a few bodyguards to act like a big shot. However, when she saw his pretentious appearance, she could deeply feel that the difference between him and Su Qinzhou was like the difference between heaven and earth. You're finally here. I've been waiting for you. Yi Bei Feng pulled out a chair for her. There was red wine and steak, and the melodious sound of a piano not far away. The atmosphere was very good. You know why I'm here. Although Luo Qingshun sat down, she pushed the red wine on the table and said, If you have nothing to say, then I'll leave first. Qingshun, seeing that she was about to get up and leave, Yi Bei Feng hurriedly grabbed her arm and said, You weren't like this before. You used to like me very much. No matter what happened, you would stand by my side. But why, after such a short period of time, did you have a crazy change of heart, and then even got married? This sentence had been hidden in Yi Bei Feng's heart for a long time. Chapter 30-36. Liking a person and not liking a person are the same. Luo Qingshun coldly hooked her lips and said, In this world, if there is love at first sight, then there is also hate at first sight. I suddenly feel that you are very annoying. Is that not okay? Yi Bei Feng took a deep breath and used all his strength to suppress his anger. In the past, Luo Qingshun would never say such words to him. Even the arrogant and willful Qin Shoushou would not say such words to him. But now, the Luo Qingshun in front of him could say such words so casually, without the slightest fear that he would be sad. Good. After Yi Bei Feng said good 3 times in a row, he disdainfully sneered. Do you think Su Qinzhou is a good person? Why do you think he is in the hospital? He wants to take drugs to rape a girl. Do you know that? At this moment, Luo Qingshun's heart thumped. It was not because she did not believe Su Qinzhou, but because anyone who heard such words would have a feeling of shock in their heart. But on the surface, Luo Qingshun's face was like a calm lake, without the slightest change. Do you think I will believe you? Luo Qingshun shrugged and laughed disdainfully. Based on your few words? If I only had a few words, would I ask you to come? Yi Bei Feng seemed to be angry. He directly threw the tablet on the table and said, Why don't I ask young Madam Su to take a look? It had to be said that in this situation, the words young Madam Su were especially mocking. Luo Qingshun picked up the tablet from the table. The moment she opened it, she saw a video. Su Qinzhou's face was red, sweat beaded on his forehead, and his right hand was grabbing the girl's clothes. The girl's face was filled with panic, and she seemed to be constantly shouting. In the next second, 2 or 3 people appeared and subdued Su Chinzhou. The entire video was very quiet, but the girl's scream for help was especially loud. Huh? Yi Beifeng sneered and said, "This is your husband. This is your so-called good man? Are you sure he is qualified to be compared to me?" Luo Qingshun. Luo Qingshun. Your taste was good before. How come your taste is getting worse as you grow older? Yi Beifeng's words were full of ridicule. He thought he was already standing on top, waiting to see Luo Qingshun's panicked appearance, waiting for her to cry and say she was wrong, waiting for her to come back to his side. He thought the reality was quite cruel. Because Luo Qingshun's expression, there was not the slightest change. She slowly put down the tablet, then looked at Yi Beifeng's confident eyes and asked, "Is this what you want to show me? Is he?" Mosaic the scene? It had to be said that Luo Qingshun thought that Yi Beifeng would be sarcastic, but she didn't think he would say such ugly words. Original host? Oh, original host? You followed him for so many years, but you never understood this man. He was not as good as you imagined, as a gentleman, as gentle and elegant. Chapter 37. Luo Qingshun could feel that when she said this, Yi Beifeng's expression changed. It was a look of panic that flashed in front of her eyes. She wanted to hide it, but couldn't. It doesn't matter if it's a badger or not, he lost. Yi Beifeng felt that he couldn't slander Su Chinzhou to make Luo Qingshun leave him. So he simply said, and he lost very thoroughly. He won't be able to make a comeback in this lifetime. Whether he makes a comeback or not, I'll be by his side. But what about you? Luo Qingshun said sarcastically. You did such a despicable thing, but you didn't get anything in return. Don't you feel bad? Who said there was no return? Do you think he can escape the punishment of the law? Do you think the police are idiots and won't investigate? Ridiculous. All the surveillance videos are in our hands. How can they investigate? Luo Qingshun sneered and said, "Look at this badger incident. You guys are well prepared." Yi Beifeng revealed a very proud expression and said, "There are many people who don't like Su Chinzhou. Naturally, it's us." Yi Beifeng classmate, if you don't have anything else, I'll leave first. Luo Qingshun narrowed her eyes. Her cold eyes steadily fell on his body and said, "Chinzhou is still in the hospital. I'm worried." After her voice fell, she got up without hesitation and walked towards the door. But in the next second, Yi Beifeng called out to her, "Aren't you afraid of this video being leaked?" Yi Beifeng gritted his teeth and looked at her back and said, "Luo Qingshun, I'll give you 2 choices. Either be with me, and Su Chinzhou won't be able to deal with Qian Xiuxiu, or I'll let him go to jail and never make a comeback. When you let me make a choice, you didn't forget about Qian Xiuxiu." Luo Qingshun's tone was absolutely sarcastic. Her thin lips lightly said, "Then I suggest you hold a large announcement and release the video in front of countless media. Announce it to the world, okay? You think I don't dare? You can try." This was the last conversation she had with Yi Beifeng in this private club. The moment her voice fell, she left without looking back. At the hospital, Su Chinzhou had already woken up. Yi Duoyin sat in front of the bed, pouring water and changing his dressing. When Luo Qingshun arrived, Su Chinzhou was talking on the phone while leisurely reading the newspaper. He didn't look worried at all. Cough, cough. Luo Qingshun walked into the ward, pursed her lips, and smiled. "Are you feeling better?" He slowly raised his eyes, his sword-like eyes filled with gentleness as he looked at her, and said, "I'm feeling better. Qingshun, you're here." Yiduoyin blinked and said, "I'll go to the first floor to settle the hospitalization procedures. You guys can chat first." "All right." After Yiduoyin left the room, Luo Qingshun slowly extended her right hand and lightly flicked Su Chinzhou's forehead. Someone was jumped by an immortal again? In the next second, Su Chinzhou grabbed her wrist and pulled her to his side. "Isn't it all because of a certain person? What does it have to do with me?" Luo Qingshun innocently blinked and said, "You were clearly targeted by someone and you're blaming me. If it wasn't for that person's clothes being so similar to yours, I wouldn't have mistaken them." Su Chinzhou's tone seemed to be a bit wronged as he said, "This time, my wife isn't by my side. It's so hard. Chapter 3038. Su Chinzhou's gaze was indifferent. His gaze was as calm as water as he said, "Yes, Wang just called and said that all of the videos in the parking lot have been tampered with. It looks like they weren't stolen, but they aren't the original videos." This time, it was indeed his negligence. He and Eisen could be considered old enemies for many years. Eisen was the chairman of the largest modeling agency in the country. He was careful and narrow-minded and full of calculations. In order to get the best talent and resources for the company, he didn't hesitate to use underhanded methods to make Su Chinzhou expose the news and then make Star Maker fall. This kind of confrontation had happened many times, and Su Chinzhou had always easily dealt with it. Actually, this included that time on the cruise. If it wasn't for Luo Qingshun suddenly barging into his room, it wouldn't have been a big deal. But today, once a person had a thought, they would have a weakness. In that instant, Su Chinzhou's heart was afraid that something would happen to Luo Qingshun. Therefore, after being drugged, he fell into the trap and was tricked. Zidi, our family's young master Su, is very calm. Luo Qingshun picked up the tangerine on the table and said while peeling it, "I already saw the original video. It was the scene that was taken at that time, but they probably edited it out." "You saw it?" Su Chinzhou lightly knitted his brows and then said in the next second, "Just now, someone asked you to see the video. Did they want to threaten me?" Luo Qingshun nodded and said, "Yi Bei Feng." She didn't have anything she couldn't say to Su Chinzhou. Since it was Yi Bei Feng who asked her out, she could tell him everything without missing a single word. How could it be him? Luo Qingshun's brows slightly moved. At first, I also thought it was very strange. Why would it be him? On the way here, I went to check. He seems to be Dream Sculptor Agency's chairman, Yi Dong's younger brother from a different mother. Yi Dong? Su Chinzhou was a bit surprised. After all, after so many years of disputes in the entertainment industry, Yi Dong was always calm and collected. He never liked to play tricks like Eisen. Now, the deeper you hide, the scarier you are. Luo Qingshun pursed her lips and said, "Actually, what I'm most afraid of is this kind of person adding insult to injury. It will definitely catch people off guard." She narrowed her eyes slightly, and a layer of dark mist appeared in her clear eyes. It was a kind of killing intent. "Qingshun," Su Chinzhou called out to her, pulling her out of her thoughts. What's wrong? I don't like it when you reveal that kind of expression." Su Chinzhou reached out his right hand and gently rubbed her small head as he said, "I'm here for everything. You don't need to worry." Since he had married her and kept her by his side, it was to protect her and let her live a carefree and happy life. As for those bad things, he would deal with them himself, even though this matter was indeed a little tricky. Luo Qingshun pursed her lips. Her eyebrows trembled slightly. "So, have you thought a countermeasure?" "No." Su Chinzhou's tone was still very gentle. He didn't want her to worry, but he couldn't lie to her. The most important thing between husband and wife was honesty. He didn't want to hide anything from her. It is indeed a very tricky matter. Relax. Wang is already thinking of a way to deal with it. Luo Qingshun wrinkled her brows. She suddenly remembered Wang's extremely fake smile, so she didn't feel at ease at all. Chapter 3039. This was one of the rare times she called him by his name. It represented a kind of seriousness. It represented a kind of sincerity. Su Chinzhou pulled her to sit beside him and looked at her as he said, "What do you want to do?" In his eyes, she had always been a dazzling person. It was a kind of light that had nothing to do with status or appearance. From the inside out, it attracted all of his attention. Luo Qingshun raised a brow as she asked him back, "What do you think they'll do next?" "According to my understanding of Eisen." Su Chinzhou paused before continuing. "He will use all kinds of methods to threaten me, or even personally threaten me. I also feel the same. I wanted to use the recording pen to counter him, but he definitely wouldn't say a single word." "Yes," Su Chinzhou continued. "He just wants to enjoy the feeling of controlling the situation. After he makes us feel despair, he will hold a large press conference and release the tape in his hands to the public." He was in a high position in the entertainment industry, overlooking everything. His heart was as clear as a mirror, and he knew the tricks those people used. Therefore, this time, he was very clear on what Aizen would do in the end. I also think the same. Luo Qingshun pursed her lips and said, "So since it will develop to this step in the end, we can't let them be complacent. Your meaning is, let them release it. The bigger the better." Luo Qingshun's clear eyes revealed a cold glow as she said, "The feeling of having victory in your hand and then being countered is the most painful." Su Qinzhou looked at her cold as ice face, and his heart was filled with worry. She was very smart, but this matter was his matter, and he wasn't willing to let her take it. Kuh. Luo Qingshun cleared her throat and said, "Didn't you just say you believed in me?" "I believe me this time." Luo Qingshun looked at him with sincerity and said, "Just like when you Bei Feng showed me the video, I always treated it as a joke. Because no matter what happens, I will always believe in Su Qinzhou." Ding! Affection has increased by 10. Mission completion rate is now 100%. Luo Qingshun used her own method to make Su Qinzhou let go of the last bit of fear he had for love and marriage. Su Yuan and Fang Yin had made him understand the love in this world, but they had personally destroyed all his thoughts of love. Thus, no matter how much he liked a person, there would always be a place in his heart that would leave a scar. But now, Luo Qingshun had opened up a wound that had long been healed, so he no longer had any grudges in his heart. "I believe you." Su Qinzhou looked at him with a gentle expression, as if he was a deeply affectionate youth. His thin lips softly said, "Then what should I do to match my wife's performance?" And Luo Qingshun tilted her head and said, "You should rest well in the hospital. Just now, the doctor said that the drug you took was called something Dodecone. If you don't take good care of it, it will easily affect." Luo Qingshun seriously looked at a certain place before blinking her eyes. She suppressed her smile and said, "Young Master Su, you have to take good care of yourself. Otherwise, if this couple doesn't get along in the future, you can't blame me." As soon as her voice fell, she immediately took a step back. Chapter 3040. Luo Qingshun jumped far away, then smiled mischievously. "I'm still a baby. You can't be angry with me." "How can I not be angry when you say that?" Su Qinzhou purposely lowered his face, with a dangerous look in his eyes. "You'll know whether or not this will cause discord between us husband and wife." Luo Qingshun heard his words and blushed slightly. Against the light, her face looked especially good. In the end, Su Qinzhou agreed to let her take care of this matter. Actually, according to his own method, even if both Aizen and Yi Dong suffered losses, he wouldn't compromise. But Luo Qingshun told him not to do anything. Just wait for the press conference to start, and wait for the surveillance footage to be released to the public. This was like knowing that the other party was plotting against you, but not taking any action. He gave everyone's trust, including his future career, to Luo Qingshun. If it was before, Su Qinzhou would definitely not do such a thing. He would bet everything he had on a woman. But now, he had a feeling that he would never get tired of doing this. He was relaxed, eating fruits in the hospital, reading the newspaper, watching the news, just waiting for the day of the press conference. The next day, Luo Qingshun asked him to borrow Wang, Aizen, and Yi Dong. Although Aizen was the executor, it was obvious that this whole thing was planned by Yi Dong. Luo Qingshun looked for Wang because she needed his help in order to solve the matter more smoothly. "Young Mr. Su, please give me your orders." Wang revealed a lackey smile and looked at her. "I'll definitely be at your beck and call. Go through fire and water it's not that exaggerated." Luo Qingshun pulled the corner of her mouth, revealing an awkward smile. "Find a way to investigate Yi Dong, including where he keeps his important things." Cough, pu. Wang almost spat out the milk tea in his mouth. He looked at Luo Qingshun in shock and said, "You want me to investigate Yi Dong? This person is famous for being cautious in the industry." Hearing this, Luo Qingshun took a sip of coffee and said unhurriedly, "Being cautious is one thing, but it shouldn't be difficult for you to check his basic information and the location of his valuables." "This is indeed not difficult." Wang showed a puzzled expression. "But even if we find it, what can we do? There's no way we can get the surveillance tape." It was normal for Wang Wang to have doubts. In fact, she had investigated Yi Dong on the way here. He was indeed a very cautious man. It would be extremely difficult for ordinary people to obtain the so-called surveillance tape, but she was not an ordinary person. It doesn't matter. You just have to help me investigate this. Luo Qingshan looked at him and said, "You don't have to worry about anything else." "All right." Wang Wang pursed his lips and said, "Nothing will happen to young master this time." Although young master Su was always temperamental, people would develop feelings for each other after interacting with each other for a long time. The matter this time was so troublesome. It was natural for him to be worried. Luo Qingshan slightly raised her eyebrows and snorted, "I guarantee with my life that he won't be the one in trouble at the conference." Some things needed to be understood. At least he wouldn't let those with ulterior motives have the chance to hurt Su Qinzhou in the future. Chapter 3041. The next morning, Wang Wang sent all the information he had on Yi Dong to her computer. Yi Dong had a villa on the outskirts of the city, which was his private club. According to the investigation, he had a password box in both his office and villa, but the password box in the office only contained things that he needed for a short period of time. And in the locked box in the villa, there were very important things that might never be seen. Yi Dong was a very cautious person, but people who were overly cautious could easily create different burdens in their hearts. For example, an assistant who used to work for him and was later severely fired by him once said that he would open the safe every day for important things to make sure that nothing would go wrong. Moreover, according to Wang Wang's investigation, whether it was Yi Dong's company or his private villa, his security system was very good. Therefore, Wang Wang thought that it was almost impossible to steal any information from his villa. What a pity! If she really wanted to get something, there was nothing that she couldn't get. The night was dark and the wind was strong. 11:30 at night. Luo Qingshan had already sneaked into the villa early and waited for 3 hours in the study, where Yi Dong kept the safe. He finally walked in wearing a bathrobe, turned on the old music player, and played Beethoven's symphony. He seemed to be in a good mood. After about 15 minutes, he walked in front of the safe and started to turn the complicated password. Before turning the password, he looked around and closed the floor-to-ceiling window. To be safe, Luo Qingshan didn't poke her head out to take a look. Only when there was a dong sound and the box was open did she look up and the scene around her froze. In the safe, there were many other things beside the videotape. Among them, the most eye-catching one was a money laundering contract. The amount involved in it was more than 8 digits. The other things weren't as exaggerated as the contract, but they were also things that couldn't be exposed. It seemed that she guessed right. Yi Dong really put all those things that might never see the light of day together, and he would confirm it every night before going to sleep. Luo Qingshan frowned slightly, put on gloves, took out the videotape and the contract, and copied it at the same time. Fortunately, Yi Dong had everything in his study room. He finished copying everything in less than 3 minutes. She carefully put the item back to its original position, not forgetting to wait for the residual heat of the photocopier to cool down before she unlocked the time and space freeze. Because she knew that her opponent was very strong, she was not careless even when using her supernatural ability. After all, if he wanted to put such a person in a desperate situation, he had to maintain a high level of concentration under any circumstances. The moment she unlocked the space-time freeze, she used teleportation to leave the room. At this moment, Yi Dong raised his eyebrows and closed the door of the safe. He looked at the tightly shut curtains. The window was locked, so no one could enter. But why did he feel something pass through his back at that moment? This feeling made his hair stand on end, and he closed the safe door in an instant. Ding-ling, the next second, his phone rang. The caller was Eisen, who was working together with him. He took out a handkerchief from his pocket and wiped the sweat off his hands. Then he picked up the phone and said, "What's the matter?" Chapter 3042. Don't you know his personality? Yi Dong leaned on the sofa and closed his eyes. After adjusting his emotions, he said, he would rather fight to the death with you than beg for mercy. After this cooperation, Yi Dong roughly knew why Eisen had never succeeded even after tricking Su Qinzhou so many times. Because he was stupid enough. He only thought about how to make Su Chinzhou lower his head and express his goodwill. Or maybe he just wanted to enjoy the thrill of victory. This thrill might not necessarily bring benefits. This was the exact opposite of him. He was a person who chased after benefits. There must be benefits between people. Only then would there be conflicts. If there weren't any benefits between him and Su Chinzhou, and it was purely for the sake of pleasure, he wouldn't have wasted time on these senseless things. So what? I'm the one who has something on him right now. Aizen said angrily. When do you plan on releasing the video? I want to see him lose his reputation. Yidong glanced at the curtains. A sharp light flashed through his eyes. The sooner the better. He didn't know why, but he felt an uneasy feeling in his heart. It was clearly impossible for someone to appear here, but he felt like someone really did appear here. It seemed like some things needed to be settled as soon as possible in order to avoid any more problems. That's great. Aizen excitedly slapped the table and said, Before, you said you wanted to wait. I didn't even know what you wanted to wait for. You made me angry. Have you thought it through now? Yes. Yidong nodded and said, Let's have a press conference tomorrow. You go and announce it to the reporters. No problem. Leave it to me. Aizen said excitedly. I love doing this kind of thing. Yidong faintly replied and hung up the phone. Why did he have to wait? Aizen was so stupid that he naturally didn't understand. The reason why he had to wait was because he wanted to maximize his benefits. If Su Chinzhou begged him for his fame and status, then this video could be used to threaten him for the rest of his life. Of course, he could also become the person behind the scenes to obtain the greatest benefits for himself. But after such a long time, Su Chinzhou didn't react at all. Even if Aizen called to threaten him, he didn't care at all. That proved that no matter what happened in the future, he would not be able to gain any benefits from him. Since that was the case, he might as well kill his opponent quickly to prevent future troubles. He turned his gaze back to the safe and narrowed his eyes, revealing a complicated expression. The next morning, Su Chinzhou finished his final checkup and prepared to leave the hospital. As Luo Qingchen went through the discharge procedures, she recalled the scene at Yi Dong's villa last night. She seemed to have felt a chill on her back the moment she teleported. She didn't know where that gaze came from, but it was looking at her. Logically speaking, he shouldn't be able to see her. He was just an ordinary person, so how could he see her ability? Taking 10,000 steps back, this person was extremely cautious. His cautiousness had reached a miraculous level. He was able to sense things that ordinary people could not. Chapter 3043. Luo Qingchen's eyes trembled slightly. She shook her head and said, It's nothing. I'm just thinking about some things. I think our opponent might be very strong. Ding Ling. She didn't know that just as she finished speaking, her phone rang. Wong Wong. Not good, young mistress. They're about to hold a press conference. Just as she picked up the phone, Wong Wong's anxious voice came through. It was as if the end of the world had arrived. Luo Qingchen put her right hand in her pocket and calmly said, Time. Wong Wong seemed to suddenly come back to his senses and immediately said, Today at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. A lot of Weibo is already warming up. I know. Luo Qingchen's cold eyes narrowed and said, I'll also post on Weibo in a bit. Who will win will depend on today. Okay. Wong Wong didn't forget to ask at the same time, Young mistress, my heart is pounding. How can you be so calm? He really had never seen such a calm girl. It was as if she was on the cruise ship. Even if she and the young master did that, she didn't panic at all. Because Luo Qingchen coldly snorted and said, I have victory in my hands. The press conference was held at the Olympic Sports Center. When Luo Qingchen arrived, it was already 1 o'clock in the afternoon. She casually opened Weibo. The 3 words Su Chinzhou were already trending. Veep digging into the entertainment circle. I heard that last time I was found out. This time I'll give you guys an even fiercer piece of news. Dead end. I heard it was about Su Chinzhou's actions in a parking lot. Stars under the starry sky. I also heard it, but I don't believe a single word because there are no pictures. Digging into the entertainment circle replied to stars under the starry sky. Don't worry. This time it definitely won't be as simple as a picture. We'll release even fiercer evidence. In a moment, the entire Weibo once again fell into an uproar. Su Chenzhou wore a dark blue suit. His hands were in his pockets as he leisurely stood behind her. Luo Qingqian glanced to the side. The corner of her mouth raised into a faint smile and said, "Young Master Su, are you nervous?" "I won't," Su Chenzhou quickly responded. Then, with a face as gentle as ink, he looked at her and said, "However, no matter what happens, you cannot leave my side." He could have everything, money, fame, and status, but he couldn't lose her. My God, in such a tense atmosphere, young Master Su is still thinking about such irrelevant things. Luo Qingqian couldn't help but laugh, but her heart was warm. It was probably because of this kind of youth that people had a special feeling of trust. Warmth filled his heart, and he was filled with anticipation and yearning. "It's probably not important to you." He gently patted her head and said, "But it's very important to me." This was the first time he had placed his life in the hands of another person. He knew what the enemy wanted to do, but he was not prepared. But for some reason, he wasn't flustered at all. Instead, he could stay by her side all the time. It was like opening a gift, feeling the surprise that was about to come. Although it was possible that his reputation would be ruined, he was not afraid. Luo Qingqian looked at his deep eyes. She gently blinked and said, "Relax. I will definitely protect you. I won't let those bad people have a chance to harm our family's young Master Su."